Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. What's up, DB?
For the record, I don't have a boombox.
I think you do, probably.
Nope.
I can just see you got the
Although my
on the one shoulder.
my mom downstairs does have.
Kind of doing one of these on the other.
She does have one, and the speakers detach.
Doing like the John Wall.
Nope.
This is you?
Nope. That's
walking out on the field?
Nope. That's not your boy.
No?
No.
You were never a boombox guy?
Nope. It didn't matter what it was, whether it was. I went out of my way to almost not fit any stereotypes. Whether it was being an athlete, whether
you missed on that one.
No, but to the contrary, especially when I was younger, I never brought up sports.
Might be a weird question.
Okay.
Is that part of the reason you gravitated toward baseball?
Yeah, in my subconscious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it went a long way into picking high schools.
Yeah. I know like you went to Northwest for baseball,
but they didn't have any brothers playing.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, historically it's
the other school that I was going to go to, Central. RIP already had a couple of good ones.
Yeah.
One by the name of Kamara Barti.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? I'll do something different.
Yeah.
And I think, JJ Archer was playing. He ended up going to Central. Kenny Crandall, he ended up going to Benson. Those are guys that I played with.
Like growing up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, Boone left. Yeah, I mean, I probably my subconscious. And, it wasn't like, 1966 in Detroit, but I mean, going to Northwest to play baseball was a little different.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah.
I just thought of that. I just was wondering,
Yeah. I'd be careful with,
With what?
trying to lay cultural backdrops.
Well, yeah, you gotta be. It's best not to make broad generalizations there.
I'm done talking to you.
What did I do?
Shane, good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Are you having a good morning so far?
It's a wrong question.
You got your vape game going early. What did you tell me that was? Hula hoops?
Hula berry.
Hula berry.
Yes.
Hula berry.
You're all about the berry life, aren't you?
All about the berries.
I don't think hula is a real berry.
Oh, come on, Shane.
Well, that's what the name of his juice is.
Oh, hulas are a real berry. My apologies, Shano.
Well, what is this trash I'm drinking?
That does not smell good.
What is lychee fizzy?
Doesn't smell good.
Google lychee. It tastes like flowers.
A hula berry is a strawberry variety with a pineapple-like taste and smell.
Oh, yeah, that fits you, Shane. That fits
Yeah, I'm all about the pineapples.
That's what I've heard.
Wow.
Lychee fizz.
What is lychee? Is lychee a flavor?
We're gonna see here. I don't know.
Watching you Google gives me the willies.
I know you hate it.
Just type it.
It is a plant.
It is text so flipping fast, but you Google like Methuselah.
Because that's the difference when you grow up in like a certain generation and you're like on your phone all the time.
Yeah.
If you have me Google something on my phone, I'm incredible.
I was floored a couple months ago. I watched you text. It was incredible, and I'm like, why can't you Google like that?
Because it's different. The fingers are different.
What is it?
It's that. That is a lychee.
Yeah, this smells like.
It's terrible.
Doesn't it smell like a flower? I feel like I'm eating daisies.
It smells almost medicinal.
That's awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and waste this.
I know.
I'm gonna drink it because
I know you're a big fan of medicinal plants. So
yeah, yeah. Shane, like the Open, man. I like the Open quite a bit. It's a big game.
It reminded me of a quote from our guy Coach Rule in the Chasing Three.
Okay. Hey, did you know that they put that out because they won?
Yeah, they only put it out when they win. I don't know if you know this.
Alrighty.
Or maybe they had some stuff from Illinois in there too, but that's okay. Don't have to.
Eggs and football. Let's go.
We just got to skip over.
Did I tell you about the nasty tweet I got?
No.
So I tweeted out that video.
Welcome to my side of the Twitterverse.
And I said, hey, it's kind of like a loving parent or a good teacher.
Yeah.
This young lady said to me,
there's certain places where you have to be more of a parent as a coach than others. I don't know if you know that. Just situationally. You okay?
It's not the result that I'm looking for. It's the process, right? So that's practice.
You're a child.
Yeah, I am. I can't help it.
So I tweeted out the video, and the young lady said, "He'll be gone in 3 to 4 years. Stop idolizing him."
Guys, I got bad news for you.
And I took it on the chin. I said, "Good call. That's what I'm doing. Idolizing him." Hashtag idolize. I felt like maybe I was gonna go in, but I really pick and choose my spots, and I almost never do it now. I mean, like you've got to be
way more self-control on social media than I do.
You have to almost be like a ding dong,
like belligerent.
Yeah.
But you can't just be stupid.
I'm like, I don't really think I idolize him. I think the one thing that I actually like is the thing that I say all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That as a guy that understands he has some flaws,
yeah,
he doesn't let that hold him back. And he had some of the greatest stuff yesterday about overcoming failure with Carolina.
Oh man!
And I was like,
I wrote that whole thing down.
I'm like, now if there's any idolizing going on, who's gonna be my hero?
Yeah.
Because what do I gravitate towards? Like the turning point was like coming out of the back end of something.
You like guys that have gone through stuff and come out the other side.
Yep. It's
100%.
That is what I gravitate towards.
I also, for me, it's a little bit.
Could you believe he went there?
I loved it. Like that's my wheelhouse there.
I'm like, I wonder what so you never know. Sometimes, and he's joked with me and I believe him. Sometimes even he doesn't know what he's going to say.
Yeah. I believe that.
It's like, it's funny. He'd say, and these people telling me what I'm going to do. And I thought about this and I'm going to do that. He goes, even I don't know. And I just was like, that's a good point.
Well, I think, you've talked about how he's a quick processor before, right?
Yeah,
like, I think
extremely.
I think he trusts that part of himself. Like he's probably got certain ideas. He goes in being like, okay, I probably need to talk about this or probably need to talk about this.
I'm pissed.
But half the time, I think that probably doesn't happen. Much like our show rundown, I think it kind of just gets away from us and we talk about whatever we talk about.
Well, I do read it. I just don't know if I like to adhere to it.
Well, I don't.
And sometimes it just happens.
No, I don't mind. I'm just saying, like, he probably goes in with like, I'd like to touch on a couple things, and then sometimes things just happen and the questions take him a different direction. But I think he trusts his processing ability to still get. And here's what I like about it is, if everything was pre-scripted and pre-planned, it doesn't feel authentic. Right? He feels like a pretty authentic guy. The other thing is, if you know what you're about and you're consistent with what you're about, you don't have to pre-script things because that's just your DNA. That's what's going to come out. Right? And that, I think, is we're not used to, because I think when we see Coach Rhule, that's who he really is. Like, whether it's from the chasing three stuff where you get a little bit more of the profanity sometimes, or
girls' earmuffs.
that was the best.
They're so stinking cute. Oh my god.
That might have been my favorite part was
earmuffs.
Girls, cover your ears.
And then he barely gave him a chance to even do it. He was firing that thing off anyway.
The little one that was like, I think closest to him, like got her hands to like right here by the time the F-bomb came out. And then he dropped and he swore like 3 more times and they were just standing there.
Oh yeah, in that thing, I think it was a young lady. She said, "Yeah, 1 minute he's saying kegs and eggs. He'll be gone in 3 to 4." I don't even know why I'm doing her voice because she may not talk like that. But I looked at her profile real quick and I was like,
did learn the danger of doing voices sometimes.
Well, I didn't do the one that I wanted to do the other day, so I did learn.
No,
so I kept it moving.
Yeah,
and I think that was Sunday morning, and I was hadn't been in the good book yet, so I was feeling like I was tempted. I
Sure hope so.
No, you don't.
I'm going to say something that I think is true.
You're going to be like, DB, what? Yes.
And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But if Coach Rhule leaves Nebraska, it's because we ran him out of town.
You think?
I think that's about the only way.
I think you're going to get everybody mad at you now. It's not our fault.
No, it might be.
Nah.
Let's take some personal responsibility here. And I'm not saying some people that have gotten run out of town before didn't deserve to get run out of town.
You know what's funny? I did go back and watch the Bussin' with the Boys with Coach Pelini.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
Yeah, it's a little rough.
So yeah, I'm not gonna. I didn't watch it the first time.
Yeah, I watched.
I didn't
most of
watch
it.
nary a minute.
Yeah,
And so when I went back and watched, I was like, oh, yeah, it was. I can't read that. What does that say?
It's flickering.
A meal?
and then he suggests.
No. The
Oh.
Twitter account.
Oh, Amy Rowe.
So it is. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just a weird way of spelling Amy.
So I looked at it and I was like, yeah. And then he suggests that everyone gets drunk at 11. Stop idolizing the guy. He'll be gone in 3 or 4 years.
She does know people drink before football games, right?
I don't.
I'll take it.
Also, like kegs and eggs is a term. It's like a thing.
Yeah, there was a lot in there. But sometimes people just have to have like.
Man, I bet I could predict exactly what's in her profile right now. Like her bio.
I looked. So shoot.
No, I'm not going to do that on air.
Okay.
Yeah. You'll have to show me later.
Interested in keeping your job too?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
today at least.
It's crapshoot. I made it through September, so let's put that off. Chalk that up the old resume.
That's right. It's a W.
Yep.
It's a W.
It's
It's like Green Day. Wake me up when September ends.
I don't even know that.
You don't know Green Day?
I know like the recycling.
Wake me up when September ends. No? It's a little song.
Let's not ever do that again.
It's your favorite. You're a big emo guy, big pop punk guy.
I didn't realize what emo was until like 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's just a version of punk. It's a little more whiny.
I see a lot of that in the hallways.
Whiny punks.
No, that emo look.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I got you.
a lot of it. I'm kind of shocked.
It was very popular when I was in like high school.
Well, there's a lot of misconceptions about West Side, but
There's a lot. You guys, I mean, at least you guys don't have to do all the extra stuff that people do in other districts because
if you don't knock it off,
I mean, he said it publicly. I could just say it out loud.
anyway,
I'm not misconstruing.
I wonder if he went to the podium yesterday thinking that we were going to be reflecting on the failures of Carolina.
I think he's always reflecting on the failures of Carolina. I think that's a pretty forefront part of his mind and what he does.
But do you remember the time? Because I said this off air, and I kind of wonder if it's true. I said I almost wonder if Carolina has caused him to be paranoid.
Yeah, I don't know if paranoid's the right word. I do think it changed him.
I was thinking out loud.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
You know,
we don't always get the word right the first time here. Sometimes you say real when you mean 11 man, but it's fine.
wow.
But
It is Friday. I'm gonna forget. I'll play. Let's go. I was trying to have self-control. You're just not gonna let me.
nah,
So you know what? I'm all in. It's a Friday free for all.
it's a football Friday.
I thought about it for 65 seconds, and I'm tired of wearing the inside of my gums out trying to bite my tongue.
It's an unbelievable surprise.
Yeah, it is. Surprise, surprise. All right, we're rolling.
No, I think he's always thinking about Carolina. I think it changed him. Maybe not fundamentally, but I think it changed him.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the right word is. Paranoid makes it seem negative, like he's.
Yeah, and I don't mean that.
No, I know, but
I don't mean it as a negative.
right. That's why I don't.
I think he's very cognizant of his surroundings.
So that was about the word I was going to use was cognizant.
No, you can't. I used it.
He's
You told me my first word was wrong. Nope.
He's
you're
very
out.
aware.
No, you're out.
You nailed it with cognizant.
You're out.
Congratulations.
No, don't try to back. No,
You did so good.
No,
I'm so proud of you.
Stab your eye out.
I don't even know how you came up with cognizant with that Omaha Northwest education.
Oh, MGZ off the easy. Shane, get your guy.
I mean, you probably had some advantages that other people didn't in that district. So.
Why? Why would I have had advantages?
Well, got nice family life. If you don't know what I'm talking about, some people have made the assertion that it's harder to coach at Omaha public schools because of parental situations. And I think that might be a generalization that may not be rooted in fact, but rather some stereotypes that may not be accurate. You can make your conclusions about who would say things like that on your own.
Let's go to Ramon.
I mean, when you say things on the air, I'm allowed to repeat them. It's not like this was held in confidence.
No, I understood. It's just not.
Because, like at Westside, you guys have never had any problems, right?
Yeah.
It's just smooth sailing.
Yeah, rainbows and butterflies.
It's like running a monastery up there. Just a bunch of monks and nuns, and you're good to go. No problems here. It's not like there was a scandal my junior year of high school because about a videotape at a party. Like, no, it's fine. That only happens at OPS. No coaches in any other district have ever gotten a phone call at 1:00 in the morning because somebody got in trouble. That is isolated strictly to OPS. It doesn't happen at richer schools. Ignore the fact that this started with a conversation about Burke, which basically has the exact same demographics as like Millard South. Certainly closer to Millard South than it does Omaha South. But we're just going to pretend like that doesn't matter. I live in I live in Burke's district. Like, it's some pretty nice houses around my neighborhood.
It's physical. It's hard. It's cold.
I think there might be some misconstruing of the demographics of all of Omaha public schools. But that's why Burke lost 70-0. It has nothing to do with the fact that they canceled football 4 years ago and they've still been recovering. It's because some kids don't have two parents. That's what I heard this morning. Do you think that's accurate?
I'm just doing like the old man walk.
Can we go?
Hey, let's get to Ramon and talk about the Joker movie, apparently. There's some people that have been a Joker this morning. Ramon, what's up, bud?
Hi, Ramon.
Good morning, fellas.
How are we doing?
Man, I saw Joker Foley I Do, and for me, it was a Foley I Don't.
So, okay. Now, be careful here, because I'm a huge Joker guy.
Right.
What happened? Did they just try to get too what? Is it too dark? No, you don't mind dark, though.
Oh, no, I love dark. And the first Joker is how we got started. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So the issue for me was they just tried to do too much. They had a working foundation and just went away from it inexplicably. It'd be like if Andy Reid tried to shake things up and move Patrick Mahomes to defensive back. And you're looking at on the field like he's on the field, but he's playing the wrong position. Why are you doing that?
So what happened?
So you don't think it should have been a musical?
Oh, no, I don't. I absolutely. It worked for the Wizard of Oz. It worked for the Wiz. It did not work for Joker Foley I Do.
Oh, that's disappointing.
It was shocking how different it was with the same talent. And I really like Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga. But I just looked at it and I'm thinking, why are they wasting their talent this way?
So
where were their friends? This is what you need friends for.
Full disclosure, I think Joaquin Phoenix is like borderline out there, and I'm pretty sure Lady Gaga is. Wonder what it was like to direct that thing. Is it probably like trying to like have Shane produce this show with us? Because we're all over the place. I can't imagine that was easy.
I don't think so, but you could see the talent. You could see they were great at what they were doing. I just thought that the strategy was just completely off kilter, and they already had the blueprint. All they had to do was build on it, and they just decided, hey, we're going to just mix it up.
So, Ramon,
it was 2 hours. Yeah.
I have this theory, and I think I haven't seen the second one yet. But I had a theory after the first one, which I know most people liked, that so the director, Todd Phillips, was a comedy guy. He was the like Hangover, and I think he was Old School, some of those kind of like raunchy comedies that he got mad at Hollywood because he felt like he couldn't make them anymore because people got too sensitive. I really thought he was trolling us with the Joker. He was just like, hey, I'm just going to go the complete opposite direction and do things that are just as disturbing, but you're going to be okay with it because it's like dark and artistic. I thought he was trolling us with the first one, but nobody believed me. And then I heard about this one being a musical. I really think Todd Phillips is just trolling people.
And that could be true, but there's purse strings involved with this.
Sure.
And a budget and more than just his personal, like I said, I don't know what's in his head. And
because it's all
maybe
in
someone
my
may
head.
defend this movie and think it was genius, but that person just wasn't me.
No, for sure. And I think he was trying, honestly, like, I think he was trying to do that with the first movie, but people are like, oh, this is incredible. And he's like, I got to go even further this time.
So
That's how I took it.
Did I tell you the backstory? I was sitting in the theater with Severe, and he like practically had to like talk me off the ledge. I was so mad that I sat through that thing. He tried to explain it to me, and I was like, oh, okay. All right, was the nurse real? Was it not real? Was it hallucinating? I tried to.
When did you see it, Damon?
No, so the original, the first Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. So I was pretty excited. I was pretty excited for this because I felt like, all right, I didn't give myself a mulligan. Maybe I missed something, but apparently I didn't.
Dude, for me, I it's early, so I don't remember if I just said this, but I felt like it was 2 hours and 18 minutes of digital harassment. I just wanted to be left alone, fellas. I'm just like, please leave me alone.
Man,
that's how
I'll see you at school pickup, my man.
That's how DB feels every morning. Just, Ravi, please leave me alone.
Yeah.
Ramon, we appreciate the call. We'll set up the show coming up next year on Hurrdat Sports Radio. Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. You can get us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Sometimes we go over the commercials, so, make sure you get the podcast.
We've been better. Who was that yesterday?
I don't remember, but we talked. Was it Lance? We talked to through like an entire commercial break once, last week.
Lincoln Lance? Oh yeah, last week.
And so you just get the podcast too, because you never know. You might get a little extra bonus content. It's like a director's cut of the show, except for no one's directing this clown car. There are people directing Team Jack Foundation, though, because they are on a mission to find better treatments and one day a cure for childhood brain cancer. Make sure you get to teamjackfoundation.org. You can donate directly on the page. You can see what events are coming up and see all the ways you can get involved. teamjackfoundation.org. Coming up on the show today, we've got the coach of the greatest high school on the planet, Allen Burrell. He's coming up at 7:45. 8 o'clock, Tim Verghese from Inside Nebraska will join us. At 9, we've got our very own Mike Sautter from Hurrdat Sports NEB Preps. Then we'll wrap up the show, as we always do, with our guy, Matty Vrzal, former Husker owner of Paisan's Pizzeria. I know, that stuff smelled nasty. I don't even know why you're drinking it.
Because I'm competitive, and I do not believe in wasting.
Yeah, so you're just going to gut it.
Oh.
No, I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
That's awful. That's awful. I would only drink that if I had paid for somebody to put alcohol in it, and I didn't want to waste the booze. Full disclosure.
I am very, very competitive.
You are, even when nobody else is playing.
So I'm going to finish this.
I didn't actually get to this because I got distracted by people saying asinine things on other radio stations. But, I mean, that's public information. Like, like you sent it in a text message.
Oh no, the headset was pinching my ear.
Yeah, but you gotta be careful there.
I know. Sorry.
Coach Rule said something in the Chasing 3 episode this week that I really, really liked.
And that would be?
He goes, that was a close game until you guys decided not to let it be anymore. I think there's a narrative about that Purdue game that isn't totally accurate, right? Because we want it to be two things at once. A, the sky's falling. Nebraska played poorly for a half, and like it's the end of the world. That's the first thing that some people want it to be. The second thing is, they blew them out. We didn't learn anything. They just got a late start, whatever, right? But what happened was that was a 7-3 game going into the fourth quarter. That's a close game going into the fourth quarter. How's Nebraska done in that situation historically?
Not well.
Poorly, right? But we see a final score of 28-10, and it gets to 28-3 at some point, and you're like, not a close game. That doesn't count. It's like, it was a close game in the fourth quarter, and then Nebraska kicked their ass. So that doesn't count as progress towards winning close games anymore, just because the final score didn't end up close.
Yeah, I get it.
Like, I get at some point you want them to have a game-winning drive where they win while they're down.
Are you surprised that we fast-forwarded to, like, wanting these ideal scenarios to see if Nebraska's
back? Yeah, I'm not surprised. I am annoyed.
I'm like, why are we going so... Can we just do the macro first?
Yeah, like, listen, just win games. I don't really care what scenarios you get. At some point, yes, you're going to need to drive down the field late in a game to win it. I understand that.
I need this scenario where the defense has their backs against the wall. They're up 2, teams driving for game tie or game winning field goal.
Yeah, the only the only place that happens?
Why?
In practice, where you artificially create that scenario.
Like why?
That's almost the only place that happens.
It's just win.
You can go
however it comes.
You can go an entire season and that won't happen.
Well, it's not just a Nebraska thing too.
It's everybody.
We do this all the time.
We do basketball a lot.
There haven't been any close games. How the close game's going to affect them?
It's like they haven't been in a game in less than 10 points all season. It's like, well, it was a 2-point game with 2 minutes left. They got a couple buckets. The other team had to start fouling, so that's not a close game.
I just don't know why we fast forward to that.
Because some people don't watch the games, and some people don't watch the games closely enough. And so all you're going off, this is what I was talking about yesterday with Monangai, right? We look at his numbers, we look at his yards per carry, and we get scared, right? But I'm going through literally every carry that he's had this season. And I didn't chart it because I'm not a psycho, but I went through and looked because I'm a little bit of a psycho. And I went through and looked. The number of plays that dude has that are less than 2 yards, no yards, or negative yards is astounding. It's over 50% of his runs, just off of first blush, right? Then he has these huge chunk plays that make the final numbers, but he's not going for 6 a carry. Nobody does, right? But he especially is not. But we look at the numbers because maybe we haven't watched Rutgers that much, and I'm not blaming people for that. I'm not asking you to watch Rutgers all the time, but then don't speak about it like you have. Like there's a difference there. If you don't know anything about Rutgers, cool. Like if you're just a Nebraska fan, there's no reason for you to watch Rutgers all the time. That's fine. But don't go and talk about things that you haven't seen then, because Monangai, as a really good running back, takes a lot of bad carries. A lot.
No, I was talking to my fighting folks at Nebraska City yesterday, and I was kind of breaking that down. And who did I ask? Was it Bob? Was it Darren?
Maybe. We talked to Bobby Darren yesterday.
Yeah, about his running style is interesting anyway. I don't know how.
Very patient.
Yeah, I don't know how.
Kind of hides a little bit.
Aesthetically pleasing it is, but it sure is effective.
It can be. It also leads
it's almost like he kind of plays peekaboo.
Yeah, it also leads to some bad carries.
Well, and I compared it to Le'Veon Bell, but it's not like that because he doesn't like walk to the line of scrimmage and kind of feel for linemen and find he's not that.
No, but it's like it's Le'Veon light.
Yeah, which I mean, I don't know. It's effective though.
The other thing that I want to bring up with Monangai is if you watch the plays that he breaks. Like, yeah, he's a really good back, and he's really good at breaking tackles. But if you get a couple guys on him, that's not happening. Like, most of his stuff comes from breaking tackles, which if you're a good tackling team, you have a pretty decent shot.
Well, can I just
of knocking some of that stuff off?
I'm going to say this again because I had a meltdown during the Illinois thing. If you're a decent back, one guy, I'm just telling you how the offensive guy thinks. One guy shouldn't get you anyway.
Yes.
But when you're the fan of the defense, it's
how come we can't tackle?
Why can't we tackle?
Yeah.
So,
but
I mean, that's just sport. That's just the competitive nature of it.
But that's going to be the difference here for Nebraska. Can you get multiple guys as the ball carrier? Because if you can, I really like Nebraska's chances to keep Monangai in check. I do. He's still probably going to get somewhere between 70 and 100 yards because they're going to give him the ball 25, 30 times. But if you can keep him from breaking those long, explosive runs because he does get through a couple layers of defenders, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine. And I believe Nebraska can do that. Will they? I don't know.
How much confidence do you think Alec Manis has coming back to Lincoln after he showed out that half a couple years ago?
I mean, probably some.
Again, and another one of those screwy Nebraska things where guy gets a concussion on a meaningless Hail Mary before a half.
Yeah,
and then the running quarterback has to play in the second half.
But we also saw Caliac Manis last year, and he put up 13 total points.
Yeah.
Like if Nebraska holds Rutgers to 13 points, I'm good.
I said this yesterday. I'm going to say it again. I think the game, Shane, there you go. That's our guy. I want you to watch and see where he walks. He parks in the same spot every day, but he leaves, and I always wonder where he goes. So I want Shane to watch him. Not that I'm paranoid or there's chupacabra.
I'm on it.
Thank you.
Get a tracker on that guy.
Literally inside private eye over there. I think, like, if I had to start in one place,
Yeah.
I'm watching Nebraska's defensive line
Yeah.
versus Rutgers' offensive line, because Nebraska's a defense that is known to they get a ton of havoc plays, and they play at and behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And I think they can do that with Rutgers, but with how much consistency?
Well, and that's going to make it really hard for Monangai to be patient.
More than I worry about, well, because the other thing I don't want to happen is I don't want Rutgers to all of a sudden start making plays outside the numbers. Like, you can't allow that to happen.
Got to keep contained a little better.
Yep. And, conversely, Nebraska is going to have some opportunities at shot plays. How much will they stay with it?
Yeah.
How much will they stay with wearing them down, though?
Yeah, it's going to be really tempting if you know you can beat them.
Very much so.
That's the self-control thing you talk about all the time, right?
It's going to be very tempting.
And that's the thing that we saw this a couple years ago with Whipple, right? Had zero self-control.
Yeah, he's
like, you know what? We're just going to throw it up to Trey Palmer because F it, he's down there somewhere.
Yeah.
And good luck, defense. I know you've only had 18 seconds of break time, but you're back out there again. We scored. We did our job. Go do yours, right? Like, that's going to be tough.
I forgot about him.
You forgot about Whipple?
Yeah.
His bare feet during press conferences?
Man, that dude sat next to me in a press box in his window for about 20 minutes after a game once. Didn't move.
Do you think he was alive still?
No, he just was looking.
We've got more coming up next. Welcome back as we wrap up hour number 1 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We're joined now by Coach Allen Burrell, head coach of Millard North, a.k.a. the best high school known to mankind. Coach, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well. How you gentlemen doing this morning?
I'm good. Don't encourage him, AB. He gets a little squirrely, man. Anytime Millard North is mentioned, my man sits up in his seat.
Hey, I love it. I love the energy on a Friday.
Listen, class of 05, got to represent, all right?
So, AB, of course, we go way back. Most people, or some people don't know, but you gotta walk me through what you envision when you first get here. You're tearing it up in the indoor league. We're trying to figure out the ins and outs of Omaha. And almost 20 some years later, like the head coach of a Class A program doing your own thing. I mean, was it birthed from Mount Michael? Did it start at Millard North? Did you own on it at prep? Like, when did you know, like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be?
Well, it actually started when I started coaching here with Coach Petito, and that was like 2008. And, you know me for a while. I was just kind of fiddling around, still, chasing the dream a little bit, and just kind of living life, in those mid-20s. So, but when I got on the staff here, and I just seen how they operate on a day-to-day, the energy and just how the kids responded to him so well to Coach Petito and Coach Chavez. And I was just like, man, I want to do that. So that kind of sparked it. Then as I kind of grew within the program, I was like, man, I would love to be a head coach, high school head coach. So Coach Petito, he inspired that, he kind of sparked that in me. Then like just being in this program, for 8 years, I was like, man, I would love to one day, take over, Millard North or a program similar to it. So, and ever since then, I just had the vision, I'm driven by vision, God-fearing. So I'm like, this is kind of my path, outside of sports. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. So it just kind of took off from there.
Coach, how much do you think about, you mentioned Coach Chavez and Coach Petito, obviously, who kind of were instrumental. I mean, Coach Petito especially, but instrumental in especially this, the 10, 15-year run that Millard North had that you were a big part of as well. Like, how much of wanting to return to Millard North at this point was about kind of continuing that legacy that they left, and after a couple rough years, kind of wanting to return Millard North to where they'd been before?
Yeah, like I was, Coach Petito always shoots me a text, game day, and I speak to Coach
He's great
regularly. So having his son Rocky on the team. So, but no, when I was here, we had some great runs. That it was, you was in the state final almost. We won 3 titles in 8 years when I was here. Should have had a 4th.
But who's counting?
Should have had a fourth, right? I hate to say it, but
You stole one from us in 12, but we're not going to get to that.
Right.
Stole, beat. I don't know. That's fine.
Yeah, that was a heck of a game.
Yeah.
Well, with Omaha North, but is Millard North has a standard, right? And Coach Petito always in that standard was, you play for 13 games here, and he kind of created that culture. And when I was here, the kids always believed that. They believed every word he said. They hung up to it. Just the guys that came before them, So I do want to get it back to that, that time. But it's going to look a little different. The Metro's different. You have some like great ball clubs out here, West Side, Miller South, Elkhorn South, and, the Omaha North and the Prep Central, your traditional power. So it's a little different landscape now. But that is the goal, to get it back to, making sure we're in that conversation at the end of the year.
I've been there before as a first year guy, and administration is so important, that it's going to allow you to put your stamp on it and have your back and support and things like that. Man, how cool has it been that it seems like, I know he's pretty cool, and Ravi's his VP of the fan club, but with Behringer, and but I love the admin team. They were great to my daughter, and you guys seem to be on the same page. How important is that as you're putting this thing together?
Mo, that's key. That.
Yeah, he's clutch, isn't he? He's a good man.
Yeah, man, that's clutch. From Dr. Behringer to Keith Malley to AD, everybody. The culture around here. It is, and it starts with leadership, and that at any institution, or corporation, it starts with the leadership. But you have the support, which is crazy. It is. Sports here is a big thing at Millard North, along with academics. We are a very driven academic school, but I love the balance. Coming from Prep and Mount Michael, I push academics with our young men too on a daily.
Well, you've been around some good people, because you got a chance to hang out with my guy Spooner too.
Oh yeah, man, I have. If me and Spooner had a great time, we probably.
Hey, I'm a huge fan. Huge fan.
You know why? Another Millard North guy. I'm just saying, another Millard North guy.
He is. You see how that connection works. Spooner took care of me, though. I'm not gonna lie. Spooner. I reached out to Spooner years ago when he took over the kind of AD job, and kind of put that in his ear, and he always held on to that, and he honored that. He's like, if I get an open job, I'll give you a shot. Man, so he was a man of his word, man. And seriously, if it wasn't for him, I don't think I'll be here right now, in the sense of in the position I'm in, for him allowing me that opportunity. So I shout out Spooner. We do miss the lunchtime together. We had a crazy lunchtime every day, But I do miss that piece of it. But I had a great opportunity, especially Prep. I learned a lot. I think Prep made me honestly, it made me a better educator, but it made me a better man too. Creighton Prep did. So like those experiences they were vital in my growth. Prep and Mount Michael. So I've just been blessed, honestly, since I've been at Omaha. It truly is home. So I've just been blessed to be around great people. So,
Coach, how has the transition gone from obviously Coach Petito's kind of classic offense and what they were doing there, but even defensively, there's been a lot of changes as well, right? How has that transition gone with the players, whether it's kind of your higher profile guys like Verghese or Mooberry or Rayberg versus, you got a new quarterback that's in Zion Rush is being asked to do a lot of things that he's never done before. Like, how's that transition gone with those players, and how have they kind of taken to it?
Man, they've all in. They bought in. They all bought in. They're just absorbent. They're sponges. Seriously, they want to learn. They want to get better. And it is. You're going from a triple option system that has success at a very high level, and everybody knew the blueprint of that offense coming in. So it's still some of that. It's going to be changing. Like I said, growth is always difficult because it's brand new, right? It's untreaded water. So. But I think we have everybody engaged, like I said, Kevin Verghese, Pierce Mooberry, man, and Ray Bird, Colin Bogas, man, just to walk into a class like that, right? And the dudes are special. I'm telling you.
I'm glad you brought up Bogas because he's a good ball player.
He kind of gets forgot about, but was it easier or harder with older guys that are kind of seasoned and you're the new guy? I know they're great players, but they gotta believe what you believe too, because they've been there for so long.
Most definitely. But honestly, I pay a good testament just saying this in all honesty. Like when you play for Coach Petito, you understand leadership. You understand your role, right? So those young men understand, like, okay, a new head coach, but my role as a student athlete is to follow his guide. And they've done a great job. Seriously, all of them have. Like, some, up front is different for the guys up front. They got a pass pro now. We do a little more gap scheme and zone scheme and, things of that nature. So it's a little different, the transition, but I'm telling you, they bought in. Like, okay, how do I get better within the offense, or how do I get better within our defensive scheme and what we're trying to do? So the kids been great, honestly. And that was the part I was worried about the most. Like, man, how they gonna take me? How they gonna really take the change? But honestly, it's been up and it's been great. And man, we've been having a little fun over here on 44.
Hey, big one tonight. It's all the district games are, but with Lincoln East, man, what are you thinking about the matchup tonight? They're young, man, but they've got some talent. Yeah, they do. They got some players over there. Quarterback is really well, does really well for them. Their running back, that little sophomore running back, Manning, I think their brother. Yeah. He's tough, Then they got the Mikael Ford kid on the North Dakota State, the greatest university on the planet. So, shout out to Bison. Do you remember just yapping at me about the Bison when you first got here? I'm like, look, man, I like him. I'm a fan. You don't have to cram it down my throat. Yeah, that and your track times. I think those are the two things I remember the most, man. You burned them in my memory. Hey, you gotta let them know, right? You gotta let them know. Bison pride always, but no, they're gonna be a tough opponent. Seriously, like they're explosive. Defensively, they fly around. Like I said, it's gonna be a challenge. They're gonna challenge us in ways, but I think we had a great week of preparation this week. The guys are upbeat, high energy. Have you perfected how you want to travel? Do you have, because that's kind of a learning curve, isn't it? It is, especially coming from like Mount Michael to here, right? And just getting back in Class A and having the schedule. So like going to Lincoln, this would kind of be our first, I'd say, long trip. Just that adjustment, and it's an 8:00 kickoff. So just trying to keep your routine and just pushing it back. That's, we're trying to figure that out. Kids have a little bit more free time, but hopefully we're trying to cut that short and just manage that. But, we got a big trip coming up next year too, going to Denver, Soap Creek. So this is kind of preparing us, for what we got coming down the road, so. Best wishes, Coach, man. I think the world of you. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate
tonight as well.
Appreciate the time, Coach. Go out to get a W tonight, all right?
All right, Ravi, go Stangs.
That's right. Go Stangs is right. That's Allen Burrell, head coach of the greatest football team in high school in the world. We'll be back with Tim Verghese of Inside Nebraska. Kicking off hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage as we are waiting on our guy Tim Verghese to join us. I got to tell you about our friends at Union Omaha. Make sure you get out a week from tomorrow to Warner Park, 4 p.m. against Lexington. It's Hispanic Heritage Night presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. Get to unionomaha.com for tickets. Shano, do we have them?
We do now, yes.
Okay, cool. We've got Tim Verghese here from Inside Nebraska. Tim, how's it going?
Hey, not too bad. How about y'all?
TV, what's up, buddy?
No, not too much. Hoping to stay close to home this week. Going out to see Omaha Central tonight. I'm excited.
Yeah, listen, were you a little taken aback that with all this too high safety look that offenses could still move the ball last night in the NFL? I mean, wasn't that amazing? It's like, oh my gosh, too high safety.
Man, it's wild. All these veteran quarterbacks, they make it look pretty easy. It's not
not bad quarterback play, right? It's like
not at
it's
all.
the too high safeties. It's like, really, guys? The thing that bugs me about that, because I'll segue here in a sec, but that's one of those things that bothers me when somebody says it and they have a decent platform and people just
run.
They just
run.
They just take it like, well, that might be the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. They've been playing too high safeties forever. How about just bad quarterback play, like, or run the ball, like, because there's some other good quarterbacks that don't seem to have any problems with too high safeties. And we watched a guy that everybody maligns last night go for 509 in an overtime win. There was no problem with offense last night.
Tim, before we move on to what's going on with Nebraska now, and I think DB is going to bring up two high safeties again. I did want to ask, last week you were down in Kansas City seeing Mosey play, right?
Yes.
How did that go? What did you think of him?
It was impressive. I really like the player. I think I underestimated it a little bit. Like I knew going in his best trait is just his ability after the catch, ability to create after the catch, make guys miss. I kind of underestimated just how polished he had gotten as a route runner. He's got really good understanding at this point of just depth and timing and how to create separation in and out of breaks. Like, it's little things now that he's working on, and it's like that's what you like to see. Like a receiver tracking development through high school, the first 2 years, you're really just looking for trace. You're looking for flashes. Year 3, year 4, you're looking for significant steps forward in areas they can improve. And Mosey's of the stuff he can improve, he's maximized as much as he can at the high school level. And I think he's gonna have there's a couple more elements of his game he can unlock at the next level, but I think he's a guy that's going to be able to come into Nebraska and compete for playing time pretty early on.
TV, when you're watching games like you so often do every week, I know you love the secondary, but if somebody was gonna say, "Hey, TV, like, I want a good eval on blank," where do you think you have the easiest time translating, like, next level, like from what you're seeing now to what you think you're going to see in college? Where are you most comfortable breaking in?
I think it's skill position, because with skill position specifically, I always come back to something. It's Coach O. He's the director of recruiting at North Texas now. But he used to run a lot of like scout guys out of Dallas. I've learned a lot from him, but he used to always tell me, D1 players don't get tackled very often. And so whenever I go, especially at this level in Nebraska, in Kansas City, and at this level of high school football in Texas, it's a little different. At the 6A level in Texas, you can get away with the guy. Okay, he's getting gang tackled by like Duncanville, where there's like 8 D1 players on the defense alone. Like, you can't. It's a little different there. But in Nebraska and in Kansas City, it's like, okay, if you really are that guy, you shouldn't be going down on first contact. If you're really that guy, you should be able to separate at the second and third level. Like, so I really look for that at this point with wide receivers, where it's like, and running backs, where it's like, okay, I know they're going to have success at the next level because they make themselves look like the best athlete on the field at the high school level.
That's a good answer. Tim, I did want to talk about secondary a little bit as far as Nebraska was concerned, because we got a couple questions in the chat kind of throughout the show today about Gifford and kind of how he's played so far this year. I'm kind of interested to see how you've evaluated him. I won't give you my opinion because I don't want to taint your answer here, but how have you thought Gifford's played so far this year?
I thought he's been solid, and even going into the year, I've had these discussions with Steve just about, the staff has called him a guy that they think can play at the NFL level at some point, and I understand the vision in a way of just like, okay, the IQ's there. He's a gritty player. He's a guy that coaches would love to talk to. But then I don't really see the fit at the next level. Like, I don't know where you play him at the next level. And it's part of the reason why, you look at him this year and it's like, okay, he's a not an oversized safety, but he's a safety that should probably be playing linebacker at the college level. And at the next level, I just don't know how that translates. So factoring that into his evaluation for this year, like, I don't know. It's been tough for me. He's been a guy that's been there to clean up on tackles. He's held up in coverage from time to time, but you do wonder a little bit. Okay, like, you see Nebraska's vision for the future at the position. They want better athleticism out of the rover position. And I think you're seeing that in the guys they recruited. They've got Caden Vermoss coming in next year, who I think is a better athlete than Gifford is, and then they've got Jeremiah Jones as well, who could potentially play that position in this upcoming cycle. Jace Reynolds in 2026. Those guys are better athletes Gifford. And as talented as I think Gifford is, and as much of an asset as he is on the field from a veteran standpoint, I think they could use a better athlete out there in the future for what they want out of that position.
You want to talk about a guy that pulls away at the second and third level and the high school level. You're talking about Verghese. That dude, if he gets a corner, you're in trouble.
Hey, he's a guy that, like, watching him and Pierce Mooberry, it's like, okay, these two are the best athletes on most every field they're on, except for when they play Millard South and Omaha West Side.
Tim, when you're watching kind of the Nebraska secondary, I put this game as kind of a secondary game for them, in my opinion, just because I think if the D-line holds up their end of the deal, these guys can get into the box. I'm not sure how dangerous Rutgers is outside the numbers, so I think the three safeties can impact the running game. Do you kind of look for those guys to flash a little more in this matchup against Temple?
Yeah, for the exact same reasons you say. I think they're going to have an opportunity in the run game to kind of come downhill and make some tackles in the open field and prevent some longer gains. But also, I think in coverage, I think they're going to be trusted a little more to be in one-on-one. I don't think this wide receiver unit is going to challenge them the same way Illinois or Colorado did. I think they're going to have an opportunity to kind of line up man-to-man on some of these guys and try and hold their own. And I think they're going to be able to.
Switching to the other side of it, what's your level of concern about stopping Kyle Monangai? I know it's been a big topic of conversation because he's their best player, but
that's actually what I was going to morph into. The people just say something and then we take it and run it. It had to do with Monangai.
Yeah. So what have been your thoughts about Monangai, and how do you think Nebraska holds up against him?
I love the back. I love the back himself, and I think he does present a challenge to Nebraska just because of the style he runs with. He's a guy that, I mean, again, like, Nebraska has had issues like eliminating some of that leaky yardage. I don't think the running game is an issue. And I heard the way y'all talked about it earlier this week, and I completely agree, just in the sense that, like, I don't think there's that, like, book out there on how to beat Nebraska. If there's like a guidebook or like a playbook out there on how to beat Nebraska's defense, it's tempo and misdirection. But you could say that about literally any defense. That's how you beat any defense.
That's all defenses.
Yeah.
So if you
so are we sure you and I didn't give the blueprint?
So if you think Monangai is, you think Nebraska will be able to handle him? Like, he's probably going to get his numbers still to a certain extent, but do you think this is a game where it has to be, hey, Cadillac Manis is going to have to make some plays in the passing game in order for Rutgers to win here?
Yeah, I think the key for Nebraska here is you have to make Ethan beat you. I think that's really the key, and you have to take it away from the run game. Like, I think it's really important for Nebraska in this type of game to jump out to an early, like, double-digit lead of some sort. Like, make them play from behind, because that's where they get uncomfortable. That's where, their style of play prevents them from doing what they want to do. If it's a close game, Rutgers under Schiano finds ways to win. Especially this year, they find ways to maximize the little moments, maximize the marginal differences, and win games. And so I think this is a game where it's really important for Nebraska's offensively to jump out to an early lead to kind of help the defense out a little bit and be able to let Tony White kind of pin his guys back a little bit. I was listening to Knighton on the radio, and I think those Wednesday radio shows, I don't know how many people listen to it or take it.
I do all the time.
I thought what Knighton said this week was super eye-opening, and just how the offense, the way teams approach the offense now, has shifted the way the defenses play them, because they're purposefully putting Nebraska in third and short situations defensively now to prevent Nebraska's edge rushers from getting back there. Nebraska wants to get to that point where they are in third and medium, third and long. That does come down to the defense, but also comes down to the offense to put them into pass-first situations on first and second down.
Yeah, it's interesting. I said, because I'm a big third down conversion rate guy historically, but I said, with this team this year, you have to look at it a little differently. Like, they have to win on first downs now, because situationally teams, I thought he was really, really good on a multitude of levels, because he understands the intricacies of how they're trying to be attacked. Excuse me. And I know we say knowing is half the battle, but he seemed to have a very clear understanding of how teams are trying to attack them, which I think is quite an advantage, because sometimes we operate in this deal when you're a higher level thinker, you assume you know the what. You almost never ask the why because you've been there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you, Tim. I felt like listening to him, he's all over it.
For sure. And I think they've really found something in that. He mentioned the pass rush in the third round. Look at the pass rushers out there. It's Prince Will and James Williams. I think they've really found something in those two guys coming off the edge on third down. When you get those guys to pin their ears back, and then you've got a combination of Jamari, Ty, and Nash, it's tough for anybody. And I don't think Rutgers has faced a pass rush like Nebraska's yet this season.
We're talking with Tim Verghese from inside Nebraska. Tim, on the offensive side of the ball, I know a lot has been made about Rutgers red zone defense and the quarters with with their two deep safeties and things like that. Where do you see Nebraska making the most out of the opportunities that Rutgers defense presents?
I think just giving them different looks all year. They've been building up all of these different like they have these rollouts where you're seeing kind of double moves from receivers where sometimes they sit and sometimes they go. And then the other side, you've got these RPO looks where sometimes they bite, sometimes they don't. I think it's just really making Rutgers defense putting individual defenders in conflict and getting little wins that way. So the field opens up eventually for you. I think you start this game running the ball, forcing them to stop the run, stack the box. And then as the game goes on, as they start to creep down, as you start to get some of those one-on-one matchups outside, you kind of start to take some shots, even with the type of defense they play downfield. I think eventually you can get them to break into a point where they're stacking the box and you get a favorable one-on-one matchup, whether that's Isaiah Ney or Jamal Banks or Jalen Lloyd.
Yeah, I've described this as kind of self-control, Tim, where I agree with you. Nebraska wants to play a certain way in the fourth quarter, and they want to run the ball, and Rutgers has been vulnerable having the ball ran against them. But you have to, excuse me, at some point, think to yourself, oh, shoot, my best decision maker is not really impacting the game like he can. And you have to kind of be okay with that for a little bit of time on tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, you need to get to that point, I think, in general as a team where, like, I think that's the ultimate goal is like that fourth quarter. For the most part, they want it to be in games like this where they feel like they're the better team going in. They want it to be a situation where the fourth quarter is out of Dylan's hands for the most part. I think tomorrow, just the type of game I think we're shaping up to have, I think it's going to be on Dylan to lead a drive or two in the fourth quarter. But I think Nebraska, what they want to eventually get to and what they're hoping for tomorrow is by the fourth quarter, it's just like, all right, Dylan, get out there, hand it off 3 times. Let's get out of here.
You mentioned RPO a second ago, Tim, with Nebraska. I wanted to ask about Rutgers' RPO game because it seemed like Washington really struggled with it, getting caught in no man's land a lot. How do you think Nebraska, who I think at times this year their eye discipline on defense hasn't been ideal, how do you think they deal with that part of Rutgers' offense?
I think it just depends on how much it's been talked, because I didn't love what I saw against Illinois. Like we said it on our preview show, and I do believe this. Like offensively, I think there's a lot of tendencies and looks that they're going to get this week that they saw 2 weeks ago against Illinois, and I think that preps them for this because on the flip side of Illinois, these aren't the same receivers they're facing. I think Zachary Franklin and Pat Bryant gave Nebraska some challenges that I don't think this receiver unit will. So it really just depends. I will say I like Sierra's ability to stay sticky in coverage. I think he's a guy that can kind of eliminate some of these, because a lot of these RPOs you're seeing, it's bubbles, slants, and quick little routes where it's like, okay, the DB's giving me cushion, we can make this throw. Sierra doesn't give you that cushion to make those throws.
When you're talking about the athleticism on the back end and kind of how it's morphing for. You're looking at the recruiting trail. Are there guys that you see moving down to the second level, or do you think the emphasis in the next, not necessarily 2025, but 2026 will be around those second level guys continuing that string of linebacker development?
It's a bit of both. I mean, like I will say, like with Nebraska right now, you're seeing multiple like targets and even guys currently on campus and switching positions. Like, 2026, for example, this weekend, they've got a 4-star linebacker from St. Louis University High, and Keenan Harris coming down, one of the top linebackers in that cycle. He's a guy that played safety for most of his high school career. Now he's moved into the box and he's kind of flourishing in that position just because he's the way he's grown. He's now going to be a linebacker. But that's what Nebraska wants eventually is a bunch of guys out there that are really good in coverage because they have that background as a DB. They've shown the ability to stick in coverage. And they also have the thing with Keenan is like he doesn't play like a converted DB. He comes downhill. He's willing to hit. He's got good instincts inside the box. Like you like what you see from there. It's not something that you're gonna have to teach him and have this runway with him. And you see guys on campus now. Braylon Prude is a guy that played linebacker that's now moved back to DB. On the flip side, Roger Gradney's a guy that played DB and is now sliding down to linebacker. They move guys around a bunch, and I think the future of the position moving forward, I think is guys, it's a mix of that. Like you get some of those true linebackers in there, the Christian Joneses, the Pierce Newberries, but then you get like a Jeremiah Jones, a guy that's played all over the place, but I think eventually he's going to be a linebacker at the next level. The Javen Wright types who kind of line up all over the place, and eventually you put them in the box because their length and their coverage ability is somewhat of a mismatch and allows you to eliminate some of the tight ends and big body inside receivers you face in the Big Ten.
Tim, how do you think, because you mentioned all the position changing here, and it kind of got me thinking a little bit, like as somebody who does your job, how challenging can it be sometimes when you're looking at Nebraska and who they're targeting and whether it's athletes or guys that might end up changing position and figuring out, okay, what are areas of need? Because you don't totally know where some of these guys are going to end up playing.
Yeah, somewhat, but it's also like, I mean, for certain positions, it's like, right now with the D-line commits, they have what their need is on the front. Like none of these three guys will grow into like a nose tackle type. They still need to go address that, offensively, like they've got two tackle commits, I think, that are solid developmental pieces, but you can't move a guy into a tackle spot, like there's individual positions of need that you can't move a guy into, but like wide receivers and DBs, I don't think it's like you would love a high-end performer. You would love like a high-end contributor that can come in and transfer, but I don't think it's ever going to be a need under the staff just because they constantly find athleticism and bodies at the position where they can make something out of it, even if it's not like, okay, they're not an Isaiah Neyo or a Jamal Banks level receiver, but they're an athlete out there that can still create and still get some separation, and they're 4 or 5 deep on the depth chart. Like they do a good job of at least finding that floor athleticism where it's like, okay, we can put those guys on the field and they can hold up. How well they can perform and what their ceiling is varies based on the player, but they have a floor now of athleticism they've brought in on both sides of the ball.
Hey, so what do we think this weekend with Perry Wright and guys like Gatton?
Yeah, with Perry Wright, I think it's just like this is a feel out visit. I think it's the Raiola family's always going to be working their magic, working the relationships there. But with any defensive lineman from the South, specifically from Georgia, I'm always going to be hesitant to say Nebraska's got a real chance until they show it. I think having, it being the weekend where Ndamukong Suh's getting inducted in the Hall of Fame and he's going to be around campus and what you could potentially see from the D-line, I think all of those things compartmentalize into, you could see him coming out of the weekend with a better feeling of Nebraska than he is now. But I think it's more of a feel-out visit for him, and I think it's a chance for Nebraska to make some ground. But that's what it is. It's an opportunity right now. I don't think it's a given Nebraska comes out of this weekend as a top contender.
Tim, with the way the 2025 class is right now, 19 commits for Nebraska, like how much work do you think they have left to do there before they kind of put a bow on that? And I know they're already starting to focus on 2026 and later, but like when do you think, at what point do you think they'll pretty much wrap this one up?
I will honestly say I think at some point this month they will, for the most part, put the bow on the class with say for a handful of guys, just because I do think they recognize for some of the current commits and some of their targets, they're going to be in a battle until signing day. Like it's one of those things where it's like what they might end up doing right now is like, okay, we're focusing on these five to seven guys, and that's really it for the cycle, and then we'll just move on to the transfer portal window in December. I think that process has already started to happen for them, because there's only just a handful of guys really left for them to address this cycle. But it's like, with guys like Bryson Weber and Jeremiah Jones, it's like, okay, we don't know if those guys are for sure signing in December just yet because all these other schools are still after them, and some of the schools after them, Like Bryson Weber, for example, he visited Baylor last weekend. I don't think Dave Aranda is going to be there come December. I don't think Dave Aranda is going to be at Baylor come December. Does that new staff come in and immediately pitch Bryson on being an immediate impact guy? Those are things we just don't know just yet. And so there's commits they're still monitoring. There's a handful of Michael Terry, right now is kind of in this in between trying to make a decision soon or trying to make a decision in December. Like, is Nebraska going to keep chipping away at him there? There's just a couple of guys I think on both sides of the ball where they're just waiting and seeing. So I don't think there's a point where they'll completely just like, all right, we're done. But I think they're going to cut down to like 5 to 7-ish guys that are just that they're still focusing on.
That's our guy, Tim Verghese from Inside Nebraska. Tim, we appreciate the time as always. Enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, TV.
We'll see you tomorrow.
That's our guy, Tim Verghese, Inside Nebraska. Good stuff there, as always, from Tim. Coming up here in a little bit, want to get to some other college football we got going on. I also do want to get to what you were talking about with Coach Rule and his kind of monologue on failure and what he's been through at Carolina. We haven't quite got to that yet. And we'll of course get to the game on Saturday as well. All that and more coming up next on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. Halfway through the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. DB.
What's up?
You want to get to the phone line?
Sure.
Let's get to Lance on the Hurrdat hotline. Wants to talk about the game tomorrow. Lance, what's going on?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. What's up?
Good. I think Saturday comes, and I think Nebraska will probably win on Saturday. But the good news is Ravi, that we play at 3, and Rutgers likes to run the ball. They're one of the top 10 time of possession teams in the country. So you'll be able to get home and get that Florida State game versus Clemson on and see how that goes. But you should be able to get that one all in. I think Nebraska on Saturday comes down to, not beating themselves. Rutgers is like about as good as Iowa when it comes to being one of the fewest penalized teams. They're not great on third down. I think they're not very good against the run. So if Nebraska is committed to running the football, they should be able to make some hay there. I think they're pretty good in the red zone. And if Nebraska gets up early, we should see this one, us be able to put this game away. If it's close and that they start to lean on that time of possession and just continue to batter the ball and play in a close game, that's what makes me nervous in terms of Nebraska maybe not being able to get the win.
How do you see special teams playing out here, Lance? Rutgers is a little leaky in punt coverage, not contrary to popular belief, but I think Shiano is really good with special teams, but the return game hasn't been super solid for Rutgers.
No, they, I was looking at some of their stuff. I think they've only had 2 punt returns all year. The 2 that they have had have done pretty well. Kickoff return, they're not very good. So I'm not necessarily as worried about it there because it's special teams, and we've shown that to be a leaky point. So who knows? But, the punt's interesting to me because I don't think we've seen a ton out of Rutgers returning the ball. But, I think now that we are like cemented in where we feel our special teams are in terms of punt, stuff like that, I think you might see some play calling where we're punting in places where we may would have kicked if we had a good kicker. And so I'm actually okay with that. I'd rather make them earn every point of this next game.
Yeah, appreciate the call.
I think you were talking about coverage, though, weren't you?
Yeah,
their punt coverage when they're punting.
When Rutgers punts,
which it could be. We haven't seen a ton out of IGC this year, just I think opportunity wise, but it will be interesting because I do think he's capable.
Yeah,
and I think he's done a really good job of
fielding,
catching the ball.
Yeah,
like not giving up the sneaky yardage that way where it rolls for another 10, 15 yards. So you look at it and you go, well, he's only returning this much. But yeah, okay, how many yards is he saving that we didn't get last year?
Yeah, I think last week, I'm not making light of it either. I mean, a 10-yard punt return is –
10-yard punt return's good.
I'd take it every day.
100%. Like,
every day that
go look at the best punt returners in the country. They don't average 10 yards a punt return. It's like 7, 8 usually.
I'm just thinking to myself, with these kickers, and they're so talented now. Did you by any chance listen to the NFL last night about how they were kind of joking, like 55, 60 yards is like no big deal in the NFL?
Oh, for punts?
No.
Oh, for the
Field goals.
Yeah. They've been kind of talking about that all year a
And
little
I'm
bit.
like,
where,
what have I
and
been
we
saying
talked
all
about this
year? I'm
all
like,
year.
where are all these kickers in college?
Yeah. I don't know.
Because it's been a little bit of a crapshoot, but it is so automatic. And I know Koo missed 2 in a row last night, but I mean, he's
He hits a 52-yarder to send it overtime.
Yeah, no big deal. But it's like,
remember when anything over 40 used to be like dicey?
Yeah, I thought I could see like 50. Like if it was 50, I was like, oh man, they're not making this.
Right. No, yeah, but like anything over 40 felt like 60-40.
Yeah.
Anything over 50 was like, oh, it's a miracle if they make it.
Now you'll see the holder set up near midfield.
Yeah,
and
if
you're
you
like,
don't,
what are we doing?
Now if you don't get to 60, like you don't even start thinking about it until they get to 60. Like 55 is just automatic or supposed to be.
One of my guys at Nebraska City yesterday, he said, he was like, what are you foreseeing with special teams? He goes, he's watching Auburn because JV went 5 for 5 on extra points. He goes, and can we go? Can we kick? Just thinking it's not. I know it looked that bad, and if it is on Saturday, Nebraska will go into the bye week thinking, yep, we're scrapping the whole thing.
Yeah, and I think that's fair.
I think.
Here's why I don't.
I think tomorrow will give you a pretty good direction on where they're going with special teams.
Here's why I don't think the whole thing is broken yet. Because what did you just talk about? Extra points. They've consistently made extra points, which is the same mechanics of what we're talking about on field goals. Now, I don't know if there is a mental disconnect between.
You're talking about distance?
It's not even distance, because we've seen like them miss 21, 22-yard field goals. They've missed a couple of those this year too, right? Or under 30 for sure. So I don't know if there's a mental disconnect when like you're in the middle of the field versus you're off center a little bit. I don't know if it's a mental disconnect with like, oh, this is an extra point, this is automatic, so you've got the confidence. I don't know what it is, but we've seen the mechanics of this work, and we've seen it work pretty consistently in the extra point game. There is not a measurable difference. I get distance, but look at the extra points. It's not like they're barely clearing the crossbar. It's not like they don't have the leg for it, right? There is clearly some disconnect mentally between extra points and field goals, but the mechanics of it we've seen work, right? We've seen some teams that can't kick extra points, right? Well, it was a couple years ago, Nebraska could not make extra points. There was a problem. And so they ended up having to kind of finesse their way around that with, I think it was Frost's last full year, or maybe it was
that one McCullough.
He ended up with like the kid from Air Force that was a linebacker, ends up kicking. Like Nebraska couldn't make extra points even. That was, hey, this is broken and there's no fixing it. I don't know that that's the case here with special teams. Is it concerning? Absolutely. But there's obviously, like when Coach Rule says, hey, we're making these in practice, I believe him, because they're also making them in games when it's extra points. Like I've seen the mechanics work. That's where I am not ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater quite yet. But I think you're right. If it happens again this week or doesn't improve some, I do think you have to reevaluate your approach to things in the bye week.
I'm weird, but I want to know. So I'm thinking to myself,
get a kickoff early.
Attempt a field goal early.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because you want to know before you get to a spot where you have to kick a field goal, how you feel about it, right? Like, and I don't know, I keep going back to last year against Iowa, where they bring that freshman walk-on for like the first kick of his career.
Oh, for the game winner. And
I'm like, this is all mental, right? Like everybody can kick. Everybody on the roster can kick. I fully believe that. I believe Tristan Alvano, even with the groin right now, could go and make kicks if he needed to.
Is there an ideal distance that we're looking at if that scenario comes up?
Just any field goal at all.
Any?
Well, I certainly don't want it to be from 50. But...
No, but I like for a makeable one, anything under 40, I think is ideal. But
I think the staff will want to know where they're at, because it's going to set the tone.
Yeah, for decision making,
for play calling too.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, he talked about it last week, right? Where it's like, our third down numbers weren't great because we were planning on going for it, a couple of those times on 4th down, but then we got penalties and it messed up the 4th down. Like these are sequential things. They don't happen in a vacuum, right? So you can't just look at 1 for 8 on 3rd down and be like, oh, can't convert on 3rd downs anymore. It's like, well, they were 51% through 4 games, so maybe they can.
And they're still top 40.
Yeah, like that's a third of the season. That's not a tiny sample size.
Tied for 40.
But all of a sudden you get this 1 for 8 and people think the sky is falling. It's like, well, no, situationally it was a little different. Did they execute the way they wanted to on everything? No, absolutely not. But you got to dig into it a little bit.
I'm telling you, ideally they come down, they kick a field goal, they kick off, they kick it through the end zone.
Mm-hmm. Which I like Buschini on the kickoffs better.
They force a 3 and out, and then they have to put their punt coverage team on.
Yeah.
Like that would be for me. And I'm not saying I would turn down a touchdown.
No.
But if I wanted a good barometer on how that game's going to go, that's what I would want.
Yes, a touchdown on the second drive. I'm okay with that. After the punt return.
No, don't score.
Nice little.
Just kick a field goal. No, I'm not saying that.
10, 15-yard punt return from IGC maybe. Yes. Maybe, a little house call from one of the running backs. I don't know.
100%.
I'd be okay with that. I would take a 10-0 lead right off the bat.
I would too.
I think that would work. We'll wrap up hour number 2 coming up next here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. Wrapping up hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. Really good stuff from Coach Rule in the presser yesterday. He kind of touched on it there a little bit, but his kind of soliloquy, monologue, whatever you want to call it, about failure and dealing with failure and how his experiences have put him in a place where he feels like he can help and have empathy for players that are going through things. I thought yesterday was just phenomenal, that whole stretch that he went through.
Yeah, I just, I think the cool thing about this is he understands that this isn't the physical with this football team. And I think we've said that for a couple of years, even when there was a greater disparity in physical talent, a bigger gap.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this still isn't all about physical. But for this team, you got, plenty enough good players. It's just the culture. It's gonna be it's literally their superpower.
He said a word in there yesterday that I don't think I've heard people say out loud when talking about when you struggle on the field or when you struggle in general, that because we don't usually like to attribute this, but he said you feel embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true.
Yeah.
But we don't like to say that part out loud. We don't like to say like, I'm embarrassed I didn't play well, or I'm embarrassed I didn't coach well, or I'm embarrassed that I didn't make a kick, right? And then when you refuse to acknowledge it, that's when it starts to snowball on you, right? Because you're embarrassed. You don't want to put yourself in that position again. So what do? You start to shy away from those situations where you might become embarrassed again, instead of just saying like, yep, I didn't do what I needed to there. That sucks. I'm embarrassed about it. How can I put myself in a position the next time that happens to perform and not be embarrassed? Even if I don't, my coach is still going to love me.
I think that's one of the reasons when he first got here, he said to himself, I'm going to be me.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to go out, I'm going to go out. If I want to go to a concert, I'm going to go to a concert. If I want to have a ginger ale, I'm going to have a ginger ale. If I want to go out and have a beer, I'm going to go out and have a beer. Like, I'm going to be who I am, because I think he's tried it the other way.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, he said it. He said, can I even go to the grocery store? Is somebody going to say something to me with my kid here? Like, he said that yesterday. Yeah. And he goes, no, we're not doing that here.
It's just gave you a snap. I love it. Like, it's just freeing.
100%. Because it reminds you that failure or embarrassment or whatever negative thing isn't the end.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a step of going from a player with potential to a potent player, right? It's part of the journey and the growing process and everything.
Like, fudge. I mean, how would you like to be in Milwaukee right now? They had 2017, they had 2019.
Yeah,
they had last night
where they're up 2-0. They think they finally break through in a scoreless game.
It happens at the professional level too, where
and
it's
then
like this isn't a physical thing.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. Shout out Alonzo for, wow, that was a crazy pitch he hit out though.
It was, and going oppo on that, like that's
the only thing he could do.
Right? Yeah, because of the breaking ball. Yeah. Like that's not a great pitch to hit out.
Oh,
it's really not.
It's a big, strong.
You have to
dude.
be. God, you have to be strong for that.
Oh, we just segued into baseball, but I'll ride with it for a while. Yeah. The thing, like, so for a franchise like that, that's experienced some of that postseason stuff, in succession, it's not going to be about their physical talent heading into next year, because they know that they laid it. That's about as good a season as that team could have had given the conditions. That was, I mean, just to show you how smart I am, right? That was the one team that I said, oh, fudge. If you're talking playoff teams to not make the playoffs
regress
this year, it's got to be Milwaukee, right?
Right. And it should have been.
It's Arizona. No.
Probably
Arizona's actually pretty good.
Arizona was young and good.
This is. How's Milwaukee going to get there?
Yeah. Well, they got there.
Oh, you see it.
That's the higher you get, though, in sports, the less it is about physical.
Yeah. Did you listen to Kirk Cousins' presser? Why do you
part
think?
of it? Yeah.
Why do you think Kirk Cousins says things like, "You like that, huh?" when he was in Washington?
Yeah.
He knows what people say about him.
Yeah. And he also knows what people say about him. And he also knows, because he's been in those rooms, that the difference between him and
Trevor Lawrence.
No, pick a guy that's good or that's actually produced. Like a good pocket passer, like just
Aaron Rodgers.
Sure. He knows the difference physically between him and Aaron Rodgers is not huge. We think it is, right? And Aaron Rodgers, I think, is more talented than Kirk Cousins. But the difference between them is not the difference
in terms of what it takes to execute in the NFL.
Yeah, like they're not that big. Like when we're talking about guys that, like, the biggest difference you're going to see in the NFL physically is about guys that can run versus guys that can't. But in terms of the throwing of the football, you're not seeing that much difference. Most of the guys can throw it 60-ish yards pretty comfortably. They're not going to very often, but they can. Like, most of them have pretty similar arms. A lot of them are built the same way. You get a few outliers one way or the other, but most of them are built about the same way. Like, physically, there's not a ton of difference between these dudes the higher you get, right? And Nebraska, Big Ten football is the second highest level of football in the world, basically. SEC and Big Ten football is the second highest you get below the NFL. So the differences between, I mean, I've said this for years, the difference between Nebraska and Iowa isn't physical. It might be developmental, and it's certainly mental, but the difference between Nebraska being what they were under Bo and what they've been since then has never been physical, I don't think.
Well, yes and no. Not to the degree that they were losing.
Right. Like there were,
but
yes.
Yeah, not to the degree that they were losing.
There's no reason for them to have lost the amount they have based on physical alone.
Right.
And Lance brought up Florida State. It's the same thing there. That's a mental problem in Tallahassee. There's good players on that team.
But unlike his Dolphins, in the NFL, they need a few better players in some key spots.
In key spots, for sure. 100. Like, quarterback's a great example. That quarterback's not good enough.
Yeah.
Now he's probably not going to play this week because he dislocated his finger in the last game. But like, there's no reason that level of talent should be 1-4, right? Were they going to go 13-0 again? Absolutely not. But that's not a 1-4 talent roster. And then you go back to Major League Baseball, like Kansas City and the Yankees. I know that feels like a huge difference, but we brought it up, I think it was yesterday, right? The Yankees have one more good hitter than the Royals.
No. Okay, so you're saying like
impact,
like anecdotally, right?
Yes.
Outside of Soto and Judge, it's an average. It's a less than average lineup. That's what you're saying. Okay.
And with the Royals, you've got Bobby Witt.
Yeah.
And then a pretty average to maybe less than average. Like, they've got one more impact guy.
All right, I'm kind of listening to that.
So, like, physically, there's not a huge difference there. But we look at it, we go, oh, Yankees are minus 400 or 4-1 favorites or whatever that number is.
Yeah, our series prices out. They have to be.
They've got to be now because we're about to start them. But you know what I mean? Like, that's about as big of a difference as you'll get in a playoff series. And what's the real difference? Like, do you feel really good about the Yankees pitching staff?
Don't tell that to Pirates players. They want better players.
You feel.
I mean, so you know a better example of that?
What's that?
Look at the Tigers lineup.
Sure.
Yeah. Right, I was joking with Josh and
look at everybody on the Tigers.
Connor the other day. Like, Torkelson spent a good chunk of time in Toledo.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got RBI singles in the playoffs, right?
100%.
I mean, I get it.
That's why we were talking about yesterday all these.
You want to bring up Steve Pierce again?
Yeah, I was gonna say we brought up all these randos that end up succeeding in the playoffs that are nobodies for their whole career or are nobodies again after that. And why is that? Like, it's because it's mental, right? These guys that
I'm way off. I got to go back and get this. I said 4-1.
Yeah.
What do you think the Yankees Royals series price is?
minus 250 Yankees.
212.
Oh, okay. So that's a lot closer.
That is extremely close.
Yeah. So that's closer.
That's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, that's to my point is there's not a huge difference between these two teams.
Huh.
And you go and you say, oh, but it's the Yankees. They got Judge and Soto and whatever. Do you love the Yankees pitching staff?
Just a little over 2-1. Well, I bet you the Royals will get some good run in this.
Yeah, probably.
What do you think the Dodgers Padres is?
Oh, that's got to be close to even, doesn't it?
Dodgers minus 140.
Oh, that's a little more than I thought.
It is? That's about
It's close. That's close. That's close. For a series, that's close.
What about Guardians Tigers?
Guardians Tigers. I got to go Guardians is the favorite here, but not by a ton. Minus 170.
130.
Oh, that's even less. Okay.
So we might
have some good series here.
I'm here for it.
I like it.
I'm here for it. And then who knows what Philly and the Mets will be?
I would imagine Phillies are bigger.
Not more than the Yankees.
No, but probably about the same. I would
Okay.
think. But they're about minus 200.
Okay.
We'll see. I don't know if that one's out yet, but we'll see what that comes. Coming up next, we got Mike Sautter. We're going to talk some high school sports here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. Mike Sautter joining us here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. What's up, Mike?
I'm looking a little shiny on this.
Man, that's a Sasha deal. We
love the lights.
We fight that every day.
Need a cover. Need a hat on out here. I got some hats.
Trust.
Golly, darker
It's
shirt.
the only time I'm gonna ride with you complaining.
I'm not complaining.
Normally
I'm
I
not
don't, but
complaining.
man, I am with you on
I am
that.
not complaining.
DB hates the lights. Hates
Man,
them.
You like to be in the dark?
100%. I don't even open blinds. But anyway,
I don't either, for a different reason.
You got back late last
I
night,
got
man.
back
How was media days?
Yeah, basketball media days. It was fun. It was a little challenging because we wanted to get on the men's side. We wanted to get some different comments from like Musselman on Saint, and I wanted to talk to St. Thomas, and then we wanted Mick Cronin on William Kyle, and we wanted a comment from Greg Gard on John Tanji, who's now at Wisconsin in his what feels like 18th year. So
Although a healthy John Tanji.
yeah, I mean it should be good. I mean, there's a reason why they basically poached him from New Mexico real late in the process because they need him. So that would be good. And then I will say this: Bryce Williams and Juwan Gary were easily the best dressed people in the entire building.
Yeah.
Yesterday, easily. Bryce, I like Bryce's suit a little better. That little like pink, I don't know, mauve. That's probably mauve. Yeah.
Merlot, maybe.
It was probably mauve with a little blue herringbone in it. It was really nice.
Yeah.
So
what was the vibe?
It was good. I think it was. I think Nebraska feels pretty confident, and they saw that they were picked to finish 12th.
Seems like that's kind of the norm.
And they were like, "Hey, we're out to prove it's not a fluke, right? Not a one-year thing." So, and I think this team probably can do that. The Big Ten, it's ridiculously tough.
Well,
it's going to be really hard.
That's what I was going to say. So in an 18-team Big Ten,
you're picked basically in the middle.
I would say how many?
Yeah.
Like realistically, I mean, what are we talking? Like 10 bids?
Probably.
Like so, you're not.
I could see 10.
Yeah.
Because you're not that far off from being.
No.
Because I know we think 12, and we're like, oh, that's disrespectful. But it's like, okay, 12 is different than it used to
They
be.
were picked 12 last year and finished 3rd. So
Right. But even if you think
and they brought two of their better players back, and they added some nice roster pieces that I think fit better. And I think 12's a little.
It might be a little low,
light,
but it's also
losing Tominaga is offensively is a big deal. Defensively, it's no problem at all.
But it's also a weird. Tominaga is a weird situation too, right? Because you kind of have to cater everything around him being on the floor, whether it's offensively or defensively.
They hit him defensively pretty well.
And so you might have a team that makes a little bit more sense cohesively together without Tominaga. Not saying he's not great or wasn't great for Nebraska, but the team might make a little bit more sense this year.
And you can establish a little bit more offensive consistency too. You don't have to wait for him to go on a heater, or one of those
a little bit more identity,
or one of those skids. You know what I mean? So it's
for sure.
I mean, continuity wise.
But he's the big name, so people see you lose him and they think, oh, they're going to be worse this year, right? Like that's kind of the natural inclination.
Bryce looks bigger.
He looks a little bigger, thicker. Yeah,
I like Bryce a lot.
I do too.
Bryce is one of my guys.
He's got a chance to be a.
Now that's a guy. Not to quote Stephen Bartle, but I wonder if he knows how good he could be.
Yeah, he's got a chance.
I don't think he does, because we've heard this last year from Hoiberg a little bit too, right? About Bryce and kind of like being assertive,
like his game.
I think
he's pretty cerebral too.
I like his game a lot.
Just his mood is pretty level. Like he doesn't get too high or too low, and pretty kind of just does what he needs to do. Goes about his business.
Did Coach Altman feel like he was coming too far east?
Felt like he was a little lost.
Or does he just want to head south and hit Wilbur?
Felt like he was a little lost, just walking around, and
that's so weird. Like the whole
it was like
it's so strange.
Yeah.
You're in the Big Ten now.
I didn't even think about it until one of you guys sent out a photo, and I was like, oh yeah, Dana Altman's back.
Yeah,
like that's so weird.
There was times where he was just kicking it by himself in the hallway.
I like his personality. Though, just because I just talk to him a lot off when it's not like about basketball. I just like his personality.
I mean, he did take a photo with a player. He's like, someone walked by him, and I was standing down the hallway, and the player walked by. He goes, "Hey, how you doing?" He goes, "Here, let's take a picture so I can send it to your mom." It wasn't even like a player that's on his team, right? It was like someone he had recruited previously and still has a relationship.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, so it's kind of neat stuff like that. But yeah, it was good. We have a lot more stuff we got to get out.
You guys posted some really cool content from the women's media day yesterday.
Yeah, that was Wednesday.
Was it the third? No, that was yesterday.
Oh, you talk about somebody that could be good. Nebraska women's basketball. Their team could be pretty good.
Alexis Markowski is very focused. I will say that.
She's just so competitive.
She's very competitive.
She's like her dad.
Hey, no. I asked her about her. I asked her just a funny question at the end of their session. I said, "Who's the best Markowski?" And she said, "Dad was last."
No, I'm talking about his competitive.
Yeah, he's very competitive. I know, but
well, he's probably the worst shooter.
Said Mom was the best.
He's probably the worst shooter of the bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's very competitive, and Potts is. I mean, she had a really good year last year. They can be back. Getting Allison Whitener back certainly is going to help them, I think.
I wonder if they feel like they're getting a new player. I'm serious.
Yeah.
She's pretty good.
And then it's hard.
So you got to tell me, is Potts kind of as whatever as she seems?
A little bit, I think. Yeah.
Or is that? I don't think it's a bit.
That's not a bit. I think she just kind of.
She just does it. Yeah, she just is like easy,
who she is and leans into it.
Sweet. Yeah.
And then I can appreciate that.
Obviously,
hey, so that's why I like her. Like
she could be who you are.
She comes across like she's like, yeah, what? I mean, okay.
And then Britt.
Yeah, Britt obviously adds. No, I mean,
it's a new dynamic to that.
Yeah,
I think I'm not going to do it now.
They're not ready to.
Not going to do it now, but I think we should probably set a little bit of an expectation level in terms of.
Like it's not going to be the same, right? Like it's just not. But she's going to play. Like she's definitely going to play. She might not even start, to be honest. So,
but she's walking into a pretty good team.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I think
won a tournament.
I think they are going to be pretty good.
Yeah. Just size is another thing that's kind of.
And she's a little more athletic, maybe.
Who?
Nebraska basketball.
Yeah, a little bit.
Coach
I would say so. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They have some size, but they don't have like the monsters, like it's just that UCLA does.
Who's your pick in men's in the Big Ten? It's going to be crowded at the top.
Yeah,
I think.
I don't even know.
I forget what they did. Who has won? But things like Illinois is up there. Michigan State, I think, was third. Who else would be in that group? Rutgers is high up there. Rutgers has pretty high expectations, man. They better be good. Let me tell you.
I think they're going to be really good.
They better be really good. I just don't not
Because I actually think they'll be able to score this year.
My thing is I'm not sure how the talent matches the coaching. Because Pikel's a great, nice guy and all that, but he's like defensive minded, grinded out games.
That's why I think they'll actually be able to score this year.
But the talent wants to get up and down and score and run.
I know.
So coaches are going to have to change a little bit.
Will he let them?
So the top 4: Purdue, Indiana, UCLA,
Purdue,
Illinois.
I forgot about Purdue. I mean,
that's interesting.
Smith back was
give that to me one. Give it to me one more time.
Purdue,
Agree.
Indiana, UCLA, Illinois.
Indiana's roster additions were
and the front court. The front court versatility makes them interesting. But I don't know if can they shoot well.
Indiana can't shoot.
Also, Indiana's kind of like I need to see it.
Well, because they're going to be kind of a little old school where they play through the front court.
They're not going to be coached that well.
And I need to see it. They've been talented a lot. And haven't been very good.
They got a lot of talent.
So Ravi here for out on Bloomington.
I'm not a huge Mike Woodson guy.
Neither apparently is Mike Sautter. And then that kind of just flew under the radar.
Can't hold a mic.
Stop.
It was at his waist in the panel thing. I'm like, bro, they told you,
where he's from there, he's used to getting lapel mics, probably.
UCLA 3. Right or not?
Which
right?
I agree with.
And then Illinois 4.
Interesting, because they lost Shannon, and Shannon was their whole. I mean, they lost their 2 best players.
They did add
although
the additions are pretty good.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah,
they're good.
They've replaced them well. Now the question
I agree with that.
The Shannon part is the question because
he was so hard to guard.
Well, and he was so much of their identity.
Yeah.
This is football, and people are probably wondering what the heck we're doing.
Why are we doing this?
Because we're at Big Ten Media Days, guys.
but So if I could get Underwood out of my head, I actually like Illinois' roster quite a bit.
I agree. I don't love Underwood.
I think I get people will say what they lost, but you watch.
They brought in some really good players.
They brought in some really good players.
I'm kind of in on Illinois. I'm gonna save that hot take for December or January.
I don't love Underwood though.
No, I know, but I'm telling you, I can
really good recruiter.
I think I may be able to separate the two.
Washington's gonna be sneaky. I think pretty good.
Well, are they gonna win this week?
Football?
Yeah.
Somehow they're a favorite against the top 10.
So be careful here. I told you about this earlier in the week.
It's a little tricky.
You gotta be careful here when you're early in the week. Or I told you this earlier in the week. When you are a home unranked favorite against a ranked team,
the home unranked favorite does well.
Covers almost every time.
Yeah, I mean,
no, but
an astronomical
it's not
number.
a be careful. I'm the other way guy.
Yeah. I'm just telling the people that are looking at Michigan and their eyes are watering.
I'm always the other way guy. I'm not. If it looks, chances are if it looks too good to be true. What I tell you yesterday about Atlanta.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay clearly the better team. Why is Atlanta favorite?
I said that to Jacob when I saw the line. We were just watching SportsCenter. Something scrolled on the bottom. I go, wait, Washington? I go, oh, that's stinky right
watch
there.
what happens with the Commanders and Browns. 3.5.
Yeah, that number stinks.
Knock it off.
That number stinks.
We love Daniels, don't we? Daniels is the man.
Hey, he's got more scoring drives than incompletions. I don't know if you heard.
I'm just hoping to not have a
Although
really
he is
bad.
No, he's really good.
I'm hoping to not have a really bad after noon to the rest of the day on Sunday. That's all.
I just got to make it to 7:30.
I got to make it.
I got my Zoom, and then I got to be at Channel 7.
Cowboys, Steelers?
Yes. And you know my affinity for Dallas.
You waking up early?
Yeah.
Jets, Vikings?
Yeah.
Getting after it?
Yeah.
How you feel? You seem nervous.
So can I just
real nervous.
I do love it.
Can I just say
have a mimosa for sure?
I think you got to be patient with Garrett. Don't be mad at him because
I'm not.
The thing with Rodgers is he likes his guys
very specific.
Yes.
But he's particular.
Yeah, that's
I don't know what we can do.
So Garrett, just give him some time.
No, Garrett Wilson's done. I'm not trading Garrett Wilson for a 31-year-old.
He's all of a sudden got your boy. He's got Lazard looking functional.
Yeah,
and he was
because he's familiar with him.
Yeah,
you have to be around. You have to be around Rodgers.
Yeah, I'm not trading Garrett Wilson for a 31-year-old paid a lot of money. Devontae Adams. That's not happening.
I don't think you want to trade Garrett Wilson for him. I do understand based on what you're talking about why Devontae Adams would be particularly
give me Devontae Adams all day long, but I'm not trading Garrett Wilson for him.
I saw a report you might be able to get him for a second and some change.
And we got 2/3, by the way, this year.
So give them both the thirds. Get out of here.
That's what I said. Just trade Hassan Reddick's angry butt for him straight up. Let's go.
What the Raiders going to pay us on Reddick?
Hey, if Hassan Reddick was on the Raiders with Max Crosby, wow.
Oh, Max Crosby wants to be a Raider.
I'm just saying, if you had those two.
Well, he got his coach. He begged for him. Said he was going to leave if he didn't get him.
No.
Antonio Pierce. That's everybody's guy, right?
Antonio Pearson has a
How about
10-year show clause.
Have you
he's
have you ever seen an 8-year show clause?
That's
like
crazy.
you had to be down and dirty.
Real dirty.
I think the biggest I've seen is 5.
I think that's pretty much standard for.
Sometimes you get a 2.
Have in your head.
You get a 2 for
Basketball.
Pearl?
Tennessee.
Kelvin Sampson got it.
Yeah,
Kelvin Sampson got a 5-year.
No, the dude after Pearl.
I know who you're talking about. I just was getting ready to say his name.
Tennessee head coach. You got. I mean, he just cheated.
Oh, Quanzo Martin?
No. That was Missouri.
That was Missouri. Oh,
I can't think of it, but he's like JUCO jobs now is what he's doing. So
Who am I missing?
What'd we do with oh my Lord, have mercy on my soul. I can't remember what I was gonna say because you shot me that look as though I was gonna say
Tyndall.
Tyndall?
Donnie Tyndall.
Tyndall,
I
yes.
said T.
Yes.
It was on my tip.
Thank you. I almost
For the record, Quanzo Martin did coach at Tennessee right before.
Oh, yeah,
that.
Do you know what I almost said? Wayne I was gonna say Tinkle.
Yeah.
And I was
kept
like,
saying
that's
T.
gonna sound bad.
like, it's
so
not
I
Tinkle.
froze. It's Tyndall.
Tyndall. Yeah. Tyndall.
Yeah.
But that was worth just a cup of coffee too.
He wasn't
That was 1 year.
Yeah, right. Like
Yeah.
literally a cup of coffee.
Just was.
Yeah,
like,
that's a huge show cause, which is gonna
8
be
years.
a problem for him because I don't think he's gonna be the Raiders coach for that much longer.
he'll be like a D-line coach or something.
No, yeah, he'll be a linebackers coach or something in the NFL. But
Well, you got paid. Just sit on it.
that's
Or
true.
Just that.
I'll sit on some money. You pay me to not do anything.
Old school. Old school.
49ers got a tough game this week too.
I
Next week.
I wouldn't worry about it.
Next week, I think. That's all right.
Did you say I wouldn't worry about it? You just want to get healthy, don't you?
I do. Yeah. I'm not. If they can
Yeah,
stay around
thanks.
500 until some people start coming back.
Why couldn't
Although, what did I tell you about the Christian McCaffrey thing when it came out?
No, but I was with you.
I was
though.
like, that smells terrible.
Yeah.
I don't believe it's a calf. And now it's both Achilles?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Why couldn't the Jets play the 49ers?
I think
like
they're
week
just
3
chilling for a
instead of
while.
week 1?
Yeah, I think so.
just
I
get
They're
think
just
by.
trying to tread
they're
water.
treading
for-
water like through half the season. They'll be like 4-4, and then everybody will come back and it'll be fine. And then they'll all get injured before the playoffs and they'll lose.
Everybody.
Well,
Everybody.
that part of their scheduling is the AFC stink this year. So
We love it.
that's part of it.
It's great.
And Miami's terrible.
Speaking of
Hey,
tough,
Miami and New England play. What's the over under 12?
I'll look it up. I got it right here.
It's
I
low.
would
It's
say
gotta be
I'd
low.
say 33.
30 something.
36.5.
That's too much.
That's a brutal number.
Steelers had 34 and a half.
With the Cowboys?
Colts.
Oh, Steelers
Oh,
Colts. Yeah. That number was super low.
Steelers
And
are
it
good.
sailed.
And it would have been fine, but Flacco played. I'm telling you, if Anthony Richardson plays, that's easy money.
Hey,
Whatever.
So for real, DraftKings, I played Steelers in multiple things because I'm like, oh, Anthony Richards, he's going to turn it over a couple times, it'd be fine. And then
Telling
boom,
you,
didn't happen.
first catch of the day, first throw and catch of the day. I knew the Steelers were in trouble.
They know what that is about.
We do, Mike. Speaking of matchups, if we're gonna
Okay.
do like tell-alls,
Yeah.
tonight, are we gonna learn more? Who are we gonna learn the most about tonight?
Papillion La Vista and Boys Town.
So Papio has Miller South.
Yep.
And
Papio's
Boys
North
Town has
Side,
Ashland.
And Boys Town.
Yeah,
Ashland.
yeah,
Boys Town has like the best team they played, maybe the best team they're gonna play all year. It's at Boys Town in the Corral, which can be a real weird place to play because the trees are right on top of you, and literally in one corner of the end zone you can run into a tree if you hit it right. Like it's just it's
He's
tight.
right. He's right.
I know.
It's really tight, and it's and if there's fans there, it can be a little loud, and it's just quirky because all the fans are on the one side. We'll find out, how good they are. I think that game's gonna be pretty good. We'll have someone there for us just shooting video stuff. But I'll be my pinnacle bank game of the week is the Millard South Papio Papillion La Vista game
At Buell.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Like I'm very intrigued because up front, Papio's got a little bit of size advantage.
Hey, and he doesn't like anybody, including Westside, so I shouldn't be moved. But
We talked to him last week.
clearly,
I like him.
Clearly, no love lost for Williams coming back to play Millard South. It's like,
Yeah, no.
I like Coach Williams.
of course you do.
He
Well,
stands on business.
They got one of his guys.
I don't even want to get into it.
Well,
It's not
I'm
even
just saying.
it's like the level of disdain is high.
Talk about alignment. You know,
But,
I know.
So here's the thing: when I move on, that means that you
I'm
move
just
on. Like
saying,
we don't have to
like-
do the suggestive hinting thing. It's not good radio.
I think it'll be very interesting, Ken, because I think Millard South's defense is still pretty good. Like I think their defense is not talked about quite enough at all.
I mean, and Teagan has been a tackling machine. How
Urban-
many will he have in a game like this?
where they're going to try and run the ball and pound it.
So what's the path for Papio to
run
be
the
in this
ball.
thing? Just
run the
total
ball,
ball
and hope
control.
he can take some shots and
Yeah.
win some. But I think I just don't know how they match up defensively. That's my question. Like,
so you got to control the ball for what?
yeah,
Like
you got to try and keep the offense off the field. Run up
30?
the middle. Like, try really hard
you
to
need what,
run
like
up the middle.
30 minutes
At
of
least.
possession.
And they got three good backs too.
You know who's a little bit of an X factor in a game like this? If you want to at least remotely try to match Millard
Bogats.
South's depth, Bogats
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bogas.
emerge a little bit.
He didn't. I mean, he didn't really do much last week.
Because he's so
But he's
and,
good. He
and
can
he
catch-
listen, and he's not like, so hear my heart. He's not like a third or fourth option
No,
guy. But in that offense, sometimes he
Yeah.
comes across as, because they're going to run it first.
Yeah,
And there's Pomeran,
Mhm.
and you got Kale,
yeah.
and then there's Bogats. It's like that's a pretty good.
Bogats is an extremely good route runner. So like,
I
he's
like
a
his-
little guy,
I
tough
like,
guy.
I like his game.
I like Kale Johnson's gonna have to have a big game on both sides tonight. Like I think he's gonna have to make some seam catches. I think he's gonna have to tackle his brains out.
I think
Like-
that the big thing will be can Papio match? There's a couple spots where Millard South is super fleet of foot.
Yeah, can they match the?
That's yeah.
Yeah,
Because they can they can just
Hill
burst
can
you so
fly.
they can
like-
just burst you so quick.
Yeah.
And you can take away one, maybe two, but I don't know about 4 or 5.
Hill can fly. Like he can
Yeah.
really run, and he's been the X factor for them.
They're running it
like-
better.
Yeah, it's up front, and people talk about their size up front. I think they're fine, like up front, North South. I think they're plenty big enough. It's just, I mean, outside of the trip to Arizona, but
I thought you may kind of go to Prep Central.
Well, this won my game of the week, so I can't. I mean,
No,
Prep
I meant
Central's very-
like a tell-all.
yeah. Oh well, yeah. That one's gonna be.
Do you know
like,
what I mean?
like
Central has to win.
There's some pretty good litmus going
Central
on
has to win that game. Prep they both have to win if they have any shot at the playoffs. I think Prep's probably going to want to pound it, and it's probably going to work. And then what happens to Central? Because now you're 2-4, like you're kind of done, right?
It's crazy how weird stretches how long Pittman goes without getting the ball.
It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
You
He's
probably
so
want to get
good.
that guy the ball.
He's
And
good.
Haney
He's
just
good.
needs.
I know it's a hot take.
Like Haney didn't get going either.
We'll be back with more Hurrdat Sports Radio. Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. Mike Sautter here with us as well on the Pillar Exterior stage. It's time for Bet On It, brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook. You can get out to the casino in Omaha tomorrow from 6 to 10 p.m. They'll be giving away $500 of free slot play every half hour. And at 10:30, some lucky winner is going to get $10,000 in cold hard cash. They're doing that every Saturday in October. So make sure you get out to Warhorse Casino.
Rocktober.
More like cash to I don't know. I don't have a good
Cash Tober. Dinero Tober. No. Skrilla. Scratch.
Scratchtober. I like Scratchtober.
Scratchtober.
Scratchtober is not bad.
All right, let's go with
We got some
Scratchtober.
Scratchtober over at Skrilla.
When's the last time you've heard that?
Skrillatoba.
When's the last? Hey, why'd you wait?
No,
Hey,
no,
we had-
I didn't do it that time. I
Why,
didn't do
what
it.
was the accent you just used?
It's Indian.
Wow.
Hemoglobin?
I don't know what's going on.
Gulab Jamun.
Hey, we had
Nope.
we had the XM radio on the car, so Jacob Padilla and I drove.
Yes.
And so we listened to like NFL talk and stuff on the way, and then I'm like, okay, like we're getting closer to Chicago, and I'm like, I'm gonna need some Rock the Bells radio, and then
what, to put you in the mood for
to
the
get
suburbs of Chicago
to get me through the like last 3 hours of the drive. And I kept asking Jacob, "You heard this one? You heard this one?" He had no idea. Like Far Side passing me by was like
he keeps on.
Does he listen to music at all?
I don't think
No.
so.
He doesn't strike me as a guy that listens to music at all.
He's like, I think I've heard this one. Like on one of them, I'm like,
I think it's all podcasts.
Which one of you pays less attention to baseball, him or you?
Him.
Oh yeah,
we both really
he
don't, but
hates baseball.
we did. I only pay attention in postseason. Like
So,
I'm that.
do you
I'm
bel-
that
do you-
baseball person.
Which he doesn't.
Okay.
He
Not
doesn't
at all.
even.
He doesn't care.
Yeah.
You guys both know him. Do you believe this? So Tuesday night we get to the studio at Nebraska Public Media.
Mhm.
All right, we're doing Big Red Wrap Up, and I'm like, shoot, that was huge. Something. He goes, what we're all sitting at the table. He goes, what are you talking about? And I go, oh, I said, the Mets took game 1 from the Brewers. I said, this is going to get interesting.
Mhm.
Deadpan, straight face. He goes, are they in the playoffs?
Who?
The
Severe.
Just let me finish. He goes, are they in the playoffs?
Wow.
And I go, this is your favorite team.
Yeah.
Like, you could at least say, no. It's been about 2.5 years. Like, what are we doing? Is this so is it over now? Did they advance? And I said, no, it's best of 3. So when they start that this year, you're really not. He said, no. I said, Michael, it's the Mets. Do you believe that?
Yes, because he's told me before. I've asked him before.
Okay, so let's say so you have to be following sport. You have to be following baseball like not at all.
Yes.
You can stumble into seeing that the Mets are in the playoffs on television.
Yeah. You just randomly catch it.
Yeah, I believe it only because he told me a couple years ago.
His follow-up questions led me to believe. Now he's quick.
Yeah.
So he may have just been riding it, but they led me to believe he clearly was not aware.
Yeah, no, I believe it. He used to, when I would ask him, I'd go, hey, because he'd wear Met stuff still.
Yeah.
Like he's like has a jersey and whatever. So he would wear Met stuff. And I would ask him something, and he'd be like, oh man, like I grew up a Mets fan, but I haven't watched baseball in 2 years, or whatever the number was.
Yeah.
So I believe him. I 100% believe him that he's just not paying attention at all. But I mean, even just like, hey, it's October, it's probably the playoffs. Like, do you know what month it is?
Man,
that would be my question. It's like, Michael, what month is it?
That was like his guys, though.
I know, but he doesn't pay any attention to baseball.
His favorite team.
Do you even remotely have anything close to a baseball team?
Yeah, Cubs are my team.
Oh, geez.
I grew up. Listen. There's a long story, and I will keep it very brief. My grandfather, huge Cubs fan. When we'd come up to visit him in Red Oak, Iowa, Cubs would always.
Oh, he's a Red Oak guy.
Yeah, Cubs would always be on in the afternoon, the 1 o'clock games. So that's how a lot of people my age became Cubs fans because they're
WGN.
Grandparents were watching WGN all the time. So that's how and then I started watching WGN Cubs games and all that. Ever since they won the one World Series, I kind of quit paying
You were
attention.
good?
Yeah.
All right.
That's how like people my age.
I won't put you on the hot seat then.
If the Jets win a Super Bowl, it'll make my life.
Can I ask
outside of my
I'm
family.
afraid to get the answer, but can I ask him the question?
Go for it.
Shane, you ready?
What's up?
So,
when I was in Iowa, yes, my grandparents used to watch.
How quickly would you kick your significant other out of your life to watch the Jets, your team, win a championship?
Out of your life, or out like?
What do you mean?
Like, what do you mean? Out, like you getting divorced, or like what? What do you mean out of your life?
I asked Shane if he would kick his significant other out of bed.
Yes.
To watch his team win the Super Bowl. He said no.
In less than a second.
Can't you do both?
Yeah. Like, We are talking about the New York Jets
Here we
winning
go.
a Super
And,
Bowl.
and you preface it. I didn't even think of Sautter, but you go, well, the degree of difficulty of that question depends on what team you root for.
Yeah. It depends on what team you root for. It depends on how much you like your significant other.
He looked at me like I said,
would you take $1 billion?
What's 2 plus 2?
Yeah.
If your favorite team is in the Super Bowl, what the hell are you even doing in bed?
Hey, listen.
Well, sometimes when a man and woman love each other, Shane.
So it's a little.
sorry.
I love my family. I love my wife. All of that.
It's the Jets.
Yeah, it's the Jets.
I got to get back to high school.
Let me say one thing about the Jets. We do have an agreement that if the Jets make the Super Bowl, the second mortgage on the house, whatever it takes,
he's going.
I'm going.
He's going. Yeah.
Whatever it takes, loans, whatever it takes. If the Jets make the Super Bowl,
you doing
any given year, whenever, I'm going. Because it might only happen one time that they win it in my life, and that's okay.
You should be okay.
Oh, wow.
No, I mean she'll let you do the mortgage. She'll let you do the mortgage.
No,
Why not?
We've talked. We have that. She very much so is aware that like if this happens, I'm going. Like
she probably feels like it's a safe bet. It's never going to happen.
Probably
She's not worried about it.
Hey, look, can I get back? Can I do something? Because we were talking about the Mr. Football thing and stats. So who will stats matter for more in their recruitment? Do you think Pittman or Whitaker?
Ooh. Well, probably Pittman because Whitaker's going to have really good stats. I mean, him playing C1 is kind of unfair. To be honest, I mean, that's no knock to C1, but like he's a power conference guy, like, and he's
Ravi's giving me that eyebrow.
I mean, it's not
sounded like a knock on.
It's not. It's not. C1 football is awesome. Like I had great relationships with coaches all over. Like, but he's a different beast. Like, and he's not a lineman. And normally, if a C1 guy, they're normally a lineman if they're a power conference guy. He's not. So he looks so different. It's pretty intimidating. And frankly, like C1 linemen, if they're a power conference guy, you can kind of double team them and stuff like that. You can't like here. So it'll be Coach Thompson tonight. They play Ashland, and he's a really good defensive mind and really good coach. So I'm sure
at Ashland, you mean?
Yeah,
because Jake's with us.
Yeah,
Jensen. So I've been picking his brain all week.
So he will. I mean, Coach Thompson, I have a plan for him. I think it matters a little less for him. To answer the question.
Pittman I don't know if he had a catch against us last week, but
could you run him like
I'm kind of thinking
get creative.
That's how Millard North uses Verghese a lot.
Yeah, get creative. Do that.
They do a lot of jet sweeps and outside run game and stuff like that. Like they don't throw it to him a ton.
Be creative there, maybe.
And I know they're different guys, but I just mean in terms of like weapons. Like there's
kind of the thing though with Pittman is you have Haney at running back. He's a pretty good running back at Central. So like you kind of want to get him his touches too.
And,
So
maybe next year.
Real quick, any college games you like in terms of a bet on it?
Syracuse tonight.
You like Syracuse tonight?
Yeah, they're 6.5 dog at UNLV.
Mine's Washington. That line stinks to high heaven.
I'll ride with you on Washington.
I like Washington. What do you think about Nebraska minus 7.5?
I'd lay it every day that ends in
Nebraska and the points.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nebraska and the points. I agree. All right, that's Bet On It, brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook. We'll wrap up the show with our guy Matty Vrzal coming up next on Hurrdat Sports Radio. Wrapping up the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. Mike Sautter here with us as well. Joining us is Matt Vrzal, former Husker, owner of Paisan's Pizzeria. What's up, Verz?
What's going on, boys?
Matt, how we doing, buddy?
I'm good. I've had some free time with myself this morning, so here's my two conundrums of the day.
Okay.
Tomahawk steaks grilled are delicious.
Don't start.
And how has anyone not, because it's seasonal, right? We're kind of getting into that Halloween, Thanksgiving, fall kind of thing.
Yeah.
How come sweet potato pecan pie does not exist?
You should ask my mom. I don't know.
You know,
Do you think, hey Damon, do you think she'd make me one?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if it's a real thing, but if you wanted that, I'm sure she would.
But think about that. How good is sweet potato pie?
So she yesterday.
And how good is pecan pie?
Day before yesterday, I was bringing her car back. She wanted it filled and run it through the car wash. So I dropped the keys back off after using it, and she had the blender and the bowl. I haven't seen her bake a ton, but she used to be really, really good at it. But she was whipping something up in there. I didn't ask because I was already about to be late. But yeah,
I did regret. I was in her hood the other day, and I was going to stop in, but I didn't want to scare her.
Well,
no, she probably would. She likes company.
Verz,
She likes to
I know.
talk. That's for sure.
I do know pretty well a professional pastry chef. If you'd like me to put that request in for a sweet potato pecan pie.
Sweet potato pecan. So what does it look like? It's just a sweet potato body, and you just top it with pecans.
Bam. Yeah.
Instead of
How good is that going to be?
Do you know the difference between?
No.
Okay, so
Mikey, stop.
I said instead.
He clearly knows the difference. I don't know. I'd have to taste both.
Oh, I can definitely tell the difference.
I don't like either, so I
don't like sweet
Nope.
potatoes.
What?
I don't like sweet potatoes, but
Are you a yam guy? You like yams?
Why do I have to like yams? I don't.
I don't
Damon,
like them
Damon.
in like sweet potato fries, but I love them as a sweet potato
Can I
pie.
go back to why Sautter thinks I eat yams?
No, I said him.
Now I don't regret eating your tomahawk steaks one bit. Don't regret it.
Now I just have the Domino song in my head.
Yep.
Sweet potatoes are awesome.
Domino had that sweet
Apparently,
potato
there's only
song.
one guy up here that likes yams, and it's me.
I don't mind yams. What's the difference
They're the
between a
same thing.
yam and a sweet potato?
I
though?
know it's called coded
They're
language.
the same
Mike.
thing. Just dialect.
Wait,
No, I don't. Is there a difference? I don't know.
it's called coded language.
They're the same thing, Mikey.
So yams have marshmallows on top, and sweet potatoes don't.
Knock it off.
Okay, don't do that. No.
I don't
Okay.
know. I'm asking legitimate questions.
Here I
don't know.
Here
Is
I
there
was
a
wanting to
difference?
talk about.
Do not put marshmallows on sweet potato pie. No.
No.
So a yam
Whipped
is a
cream.
sweet potato.
They're the same thing.
Okay, all right. I didn't know the difference.
Okay, here, you want the breakdown?
Yeah.
A yam is a white term.
I don't know, man. When I was a kid, my mom was like, "We're gonna have some yams with this ham," and I was like, "Okay."
Well,
Mike, you're white.
That sounds about right.
I don't know.
Yams and hams, just getting it done.
That is good. I like that though.
Like Jules and mules.
All right, let's do this.
Okay.
Pardon?
Moving on.
Huh?
Malcolm has a big game tonight.
No, I wanted to ask him about Pius.
Yeah, Pius Scott's gonna be. Yeah.
You got any insight? You got any early insight? I know that's in Lincoln though, Maddie. So chances are you're not going. But are your guys feeling pretty good about their team, Scott? It's a good offense.
Buddy, I'm not coaching.
I understand that, but let's not act like you don't have your ear to the ground. I'm well aware you're not coaching.
You know though, I don't meddle. I don't ask nobody nothing. If they want to call and ask me something, that's cool. But nobody's called or asked anything.
So you don't just like scroll through the phone and see that Van Dyke threw for 6 trillion yards, and you're like, oh, that's cool.
No.
Okay.
I knew that was gonna happen. My guy Deuce, Joey Kaliga's out there just snagging the ball.
The Deuce.
Hey, I saw Pius last week, and Norris kind of handled them in the second half. So I don't know.
Second half, that was Toit in first half. Yeah, they didn't have the best of years last year, and they've improved. I know that I talked to a couple of their alumni. So
Yeah, for sure. Pius has gotten a lot better. Yeah.
Hey,
no question.
Hey, Maddie. So
Yeah, buddy.
4 of Blair's last 5 games. Well, I'll just give you the last 5. So it's Elkhorn, Elkhorn North. They play 4 of the top 5 teams.
Yeah.
Seward.
Yeah.
Scott and Bennington.
It's okay. Blair has left after they lost to Elkhorn North last week. They have Bennington at Seward at Elkhorn Scott.
Yeah, pretty much what I just said.
That district
is that not? Have you? So 5 of your last games.
I blame Newhouse.
4 of the.
4 of the last 5 are against the top.
4 of the last 5 are against the top 4 teams in the state.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough, man. And then I think they lost their quarterback. Is that right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Buddy, that running back out there is good.
Yeah.
That little dude can motor.
Templar, yeah.
But unfortunately, the QB got hurt. But I think you could. I mean, I don't know their business. But I had open traps. I'm like, all right, who can take a snap, sprint backwards at a 45-degree angle, and hand him the ball, and then get out the way? Because he's a dude. I like him.
Yeah.
All right. So
yeah, that's a tough district.
Yeah. All right. Let me ask you this, because we're talking about this combination of running backs and Nebraska's offensive line, and Ravi was vouching for Coach Rule to stop asking Mike Mazuka questions, so we've moved on to him not playing anymore for now. Who would you like to block? What kind of backs do you like to block for? Guys that don't think are you hole splitters? Like, what's the easiest as you're watching these different running styles right now?
If your line is tight and right, it does not matter who carries it.
Okay.
Because the guy that wants to dance around and all that stuff, he's going to see the hole. He's like, I'm going to go that way fast. Like when the line is clicking, right, when they're doing their thing, the back is irrelevant. Now, different ones can make you look better in certain situations.
Yeah.
That's just honest. Like,
no, I know. When you're tight and right.
When your line's good, you make a lot of guys look good. So now, me personally, I'm downhill guy. I like Dowdell through like Dowdell gets through there about 5 yards and he hits another gear. I'm like, nice. But Emmett did a great job. I love the versatility of Ramir. So kudos to Coach. He's done a great job in that room. They've got options. And if they want to, just as long as Dowdell knows, hey man, you're going to be the jab. We're gonna run you right up the middle and soften them up. And then Emmett's going to come in and do this. I'm like, well, wait a minute. As long as you're not running me on the perimeter, I feel I can get through some of these, and I'll be the guy that wears them down later. But as long as everybody's job is clear before the game starts, I'm good with all of them. But that line's got to get, an attitude and a personality and just be like, hey, we're going to beat people. And then, whatever happens, happens. But I don't know the state of the union with Mazuka, but you've got to have an edgy guy in there. Those are always good ones. And I think the guys around him, when he was in the first couple games before whatever happened, he plays better. Like they all play better. So,
Verz, is that what you think the difference is between? Because I think most people would think the line play has been solid this year, if not any better than that. Is that to you the difference between this line being solid versus taking that next step? Is just, hey, you got to have a little bit more attitude?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it could be whatever attitude you want, but you got to have an alpha dog. Like you got to have somebody in there that's going to know what he's doing, very rarely gets beat, but then it's just like he's a 3rd and 3 guy. Hey, opponent, here's 3rd and 3. Here's the play. Good luck, because our guy's better than yours. And we're just going to steamroll you and get 3, and then there's nothing you can do about it. Sean's going to try to do it to us. I just tell you. Like, 3rd and 3, we're going to the right. Good luck stopping it. Right? And we're going to do it until you do. And actually, we're going to do it until you validate it. You stop it 2 times in a row. Like, you just want that attitude. Got Nebraska back in the day telling you Finoti. Right? You knew if you needed 3, just go that mountain of a human being, get behind him. He's going to knock everybody out the way. Dom Raiola. I really wish Dom's kids were bigger. They're great quarterbacks. I'm very happy to have them here. It's awesome. But just one lineman, buddy. Like just one lineman that plays like you. Like that's all. Is that too much to ask? Evidently, yes. But no, I love the fact that his kids are here, and they'll do a great job. Great kid, great player. But you just got to have that attitude, guy. And when you retrace back through the history of football, you could always go to an offensive linebacker. Who's the prick? Like who is the a-hole? Zach Weger, Dave Remy. Like you can just list them off, right? But they had the utmost confidence in themselves. You need 3 yards, run to me. You will get the 3 yards, and then we will just continue on the path.
Verz, we appreciate the time as always. How do you think this thing goes this weekend? Nope.
I couldn't hear you.
Oh, how do you think this thing goes against Rutgers this weekend?
I still can't hear you.
Shane killed the music. He's ready now.
Your phone's cutting out.
Verz, how do you think it goes against Rutgers? Nope. All right, 0 for 3.
I'm just messing with you. I can hear you.
What a jerk.
I just don't necessarily want to answer it. I'm a Schiano guy. I love Schiano.
Wow.
And it's going to be a hard-hitting, like rough, tumble game. So I guess for me, I'll be watching, see what we learned against Illinois. And can we be resilient, and can we just be tough? Like, can we get in and just a punch fest and win? So I like their chances. I think they evolve every week, but it's time to now take the next step. And you know, Rule said it early in the year. I want to win a one-score game. Okay, here's your opportunity, because I think it's going to be a one-score game.
There you go. See, that wasn't so hard, Maddie. I didn't ask for a score or anything. Come on now.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I know. I just didn't want to answer the question.
Yeah. At least you're consistent, Matty.
All right, Verz. I'll see if I can get my wife to make that pie for you so you're a little nicer to me next time. All right.
You coming? Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Yam
You
pie.
coming over, DB?
Yeah.
Yam pie.
That's the show for today. We appreciate it, Verz. We'll see you all on Monday with coverage of Nebraska, Rutgers, and everything else going on this weekend. Have a good weekend.